Today's episode is brought to you by Roan. Roan is clothing that inspires men to live healthy, strong, and free. Building best-in-class products is no easy task. In fact, it is a grueling process of trial, error, and at times unexpected success. Roan works tirelessly to ensure the products you were ordered exceed expectations. Roan is clothing made for men for everything from the gym to the office. We are teaming up with Roan and Podgo to bring our listeners this exclusive offer of 25% off a pack of 3 Roan polo shirts by going to podgo.co/Roan. That's podgo.co/RHONE for 25% a pack of 3 polos. Roan, clothing that helps you move forever forward. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 22 of Top Guy Theater. This is a lot. This is way more than I thought we were ever going to get. Two special guests with us this week: Sean Jones, Amy Vaughn. But joining us as usual, Brandy Wagner, Carl Mandick, Frank Bruno. Henry will be joining us in a little bit. So, Amy, you won our. Well, you just became a top gal, so that's why you're on the show. Sean, you actually are one of the few people who've ever answered one of our trivia questions on our website, so that's how you got in. So this is going to be fun. You guys picked NXT Takeover Phoenix 2019, and I mean, we watched an episode of AEW Dark on the Thunder Rosa episode, but I think the most recent show we've watched after that was 2000. So this is going to be fun. Nice little switch up, different perspective. Amy, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to be here.
Sean?
And I have my shirt on that I won from you all.
That's right. RJ Krasinski just won our next one.
Yes, I saw that.
Sean, how are you down there in Arizona?
I'm good. It's, basic Saturday. Good excuse to meet with some friends and watch wrestling.
Yes. You were at this show, so that's why it was chosen.
Correct. Shout out to Dave Hancock for hooking up the tickets.
We need to get him on one of these days.
Yes.
So here is the. I didn't open my browser far enough. Oh, there is. Okay. So the Valley of the Sun gets hotter than ever with NXT Takeover Phoenix. Will Aleister Black be able to reclaim the NXT Championship from Tommaso Ciampa? Plus, Bianca Belair challenged Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's title. Johnny Gargano battles Ricochet for the NXT North American title, and more. Are we ready?
I am ready. Let's do this.
So remember, we start the show at 5 seconds.
Thank you, Efren.
Thank you, Efren.
Thank you, Efren.
And let's see. We'll do newly minted top gal, Amy Vaughn. Go ahead and give us our countdown for this week.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, play.
When I was going through my browser history, apparently I've watched this before. I don't remember. I must have watched it live.
Me too. I just want to say, looking at this card, can we just talk about how horribly bumbled Aleister Black and Ricochet have been on the main roster?
And Shayna Baszler. Throw her in there.
And Shayna.
Yeah,
and probably Bianca and whoever else.
I hope not Bianca. I hope.
Well, at least Bianca just won the Rumble.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't like. I've never been. I don't like how they use and the NXT guys when they come up. I mean, there's been a couple that had success, but I mean, what's Ricochet doing now? And and can you imagine what Gargano would be like up there?
No.
And I am so glad that they pulled those two. Because Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano come up, they did
did,
that
yeah.
that weird tag team thing.
Yep.
Thank God they brought him back down because I'm
Yeah.
like you. I have no Riddle. I have no faith in. Unfortunately, none of these people.
I still think the NXT talent is treated the way it's treated because it's Vince telling Triple H, "Yeah, you're good. This is still my house."
Sure. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I mean, that's possible.
If you were Gargano and you got called up, what that would be like? I just got a text.
I've heard rumor and innuendo that both Gargano and Ciampa refused to move to the main roster.
I know Ciampa did.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Ciampa, because of his neck, physically can't handle a main roster schedule. But Gargano refuses. He's NXT for life.
I think it would just be a one-word text, then VKM after it. Run.
Run.
And he's looking at it like, cool, we're starting a new version, maybe like a Wyatt family type of thing. We're going to go back to that. No, run as in the 24/7 title, you small pint, tiny. And there goes my remote. But yeah, no, he would be running for the 24/7 title if he was up there. We don't want losing. That just, and seeing this intro.
I
don't think I remember them
AFS
playing in
family
the arena.
member Chris Hero.
I was to say another Conrad Thompson host, Cassius Ono, now known as Chris Hero.
They bumbled him too. They bumbled him
the
in
fuck
NXT.
out of him.
I mean, I understand what they were doing with him, and I don't mean that on screen. I mean behind. I mean, they were using him as a trainer and everything else, and I get all of that. But man, on screen, terrible.
I went to an NXT house show in must have been 2018, and I was front row. It was in Kingston, Rhode Island, and they did the same stupid ass thing where Ono comes out and says, "I could beat you" or something, and next thing you know, he gets kneed in the face and he's done in 5 seconds. They did that at a house show, so like, what the hell's the point of that? I don't get it. That's a waste of talent.
I had the chance to go to an NXT house show on our honeymoon. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, buddy.
At our honeymoon in 2016, and I'm all jacked up. And at the time, the champion would have been Kevin Owens, I think.
If it was fall 2016, yes.
It was January.
This entrance.
Okay.
Well, technically, it would have been January.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Awesome.
No, it would have been January because he run fall 2015. That's right. Okay. That's correct.
But
this entrance live was absolutely freaking bomb because we were closer than I think we were. I'm looking at the video because we went to the Raw. And Sean, if you remember, that Raw that they had was when they brought out the new set for Raw. It was like the slit. It was the skateboard.
It was the skateboard ramp.
Yeah, Tony Hawk deal.
The night before at the Rumble, I sat next to a dude that I don't know what disease he had, but I missed the end of the Rumble. I left. I was that sick.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
That about 45 minutes before the end of the pay-per-view, I was already in my car on the way home. And I had to cough up my Raw and my SmackDown tickets. I was that sick.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I do know Sarah Logan was one of the people under.
Yes, she was.
Yes.
And speaking of Sarah Logan and her husband Ray that we're watching, congratulations on their beautiful baby boy, 8 pounds 11 ounces.
Wow.
He's a hoss.
Yes, he's a big boy.
He's a hoss. I love it.
Yeah, I filmed this live at the show and then put it on Twitter later that night and got a timeout from the WWE for posting their copywritten. Yeah.
But
never had that happen before. Yeah,
that is surprising.
Their gifs or their videos, they will copyright strike the shit out of
Twitter and Facebook both pulled the video without my knowledge.
Oh, yep. I tried to do a Get Ready With Me live in a makeup group that I was in, makeup group. And you could barely hear NXT on my TV in the background, and they pulled my video within 30 seconds.
Really?
Yep.
Well, here's another group that awesome in NXT And what are they
totally
doing?
bungled.
And then ruined.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what are they doing now? I don't think they're doing anything.
Have
well,
they
one
ever
of them got
changed? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
released.
Well, I was going to say, have they ever changed an NXT name like they did them? Like they're War Raiders
Yes,
here.
They've changed several names.
From
I mean,
NXT
mostly people just lose last names.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one was because it had
physically-
war in the title.
But
That
then
was
they
their
did-
excuse.
They didn't know that. I don't know. I just hate this because first they're War Machine, then they're War Raiders, then they get changed to Viking Raiders, and like you said, they're just.
You forgot
What I
the
don't
Viking
understand-
Raider experience. Was
Why?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the experience.
that
part.
nonsense.
Why is that? Why is it okay in NXT where they have WWE on their turnbuckles,
Exactly.
but why is it not okay on Monday Night Raw?
I agree.
Because 600,000 people watch NXT and 2 million people watch Raw. And Raw has heavy corporate sponsorship because of the channel it's on.
Yeah.
Because at this point, NXT was a network-only deal.
Oh, that's right. They weren't on.
They were only on the network. They weren't on USA.
That's why they
yet.
could get away with so much more. It's because they were on their own private channel.
Frank, if we were the Viking experience, I wouldn't complain to management. I'd be like, dude, we're going to Epcot right now and making this an attraction. This is going to be the thing that everybody goes to Epcot for. We're going to want to drink around the world and go on the Viking experience. Keep your hands inside at all times. Enjoy the Vikings.
It's upsetting because there's been a team pretty much in every generation of AEW of NXT that I've just like fallen in love with, and they've botched every one of them.
Hmm.
The first one was the Vaudevillains.
Oh,
That team was tremendous. Now, granted,
That was a genius idea.
Yeah. Now, granted, Simon Gotch didn't really help his own cause, but
True.
they were garbage when they got to the main roster.
I thought they were going to take my shirt right here, and they might, because I'm wearing a shirt that says More O'Reilly Belt Guitar. Wait, because I was just jamming the hell out whenever he does that. Woof. Mark and the Funky Bunch over here.
Hashtag humble brag, Frank Bruno.
I like Kyle O'Reilly.
I love Kyle O'Reilly. He is the sweetest. Like, if you ever get the chance to meet him, he is the most soft-spoken, the most quiet, the most sweet individual. He's just adorable. And the tattoo on his side, that means faith and strength.
Okay.
Because I asked him that at a PWG show once.
Where is
I think it's written in Gaelic. It's on his side.
On his side. I got you. I say shirt's on right now.
He's from like way up there in the maritime area, like Newfoundland.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Yeah, I think it's Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, I always wondered what the rumor. Hey, there have been a couple of questions that I've always wanted a little bit more info. We started to get a little bit of some more insight, I guess you could say, into two stories that I want to know is what happened to Alex Riley. Kyoto started to talk about that live on Zoom. Somehow he got to Alex Riley. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, what did happen? What was that story all about? And he's always been very secretive. And the other was, how the hell did it take this long for Roderick Strong to get to WWE? Did something like, do I not know of something that happened where he had heat or something?
Roddy, I think, was just a timing issue. I mean, and he's small. He's 5'10".
He went up to 205 Live a couple times. He was
Yeah,
on.
no. Like saying it took him a long time just to get to
I love this
WWE.
move. Look at this. Oh, that's
God.
that's awesome.
I just think for Roddy, it was a timing thing. It just never was the right time, and unfortunately he's smaller, and WWE doesn't like a lot of smaller performers.
I just want to say I was at Takeover 25, which was when Gargano and Cole had their classic title match, and Cole won. And Roddy opened the show. I can't remember who he was fighting. One of the best matches I've ever watched. I mean, the guy can freaking go. And then also Fish and O'Reilly were in the we're in a ladder match. The best match I've ever seen. I've been to a ton of wrestling events, and Takeover 25 was probably one of the best I've ever been to.
Was
So
it in Providence, Rhode Island?
It was in Bridgeport, Connecticut, TJ.
Oh, that's right.
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
That's a weird spot for a Takeover to be.
It was random too. It was like June 1st, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I had third row. It was
Chicago, Illinois, Phoenix, Arizona, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
I was to say Phoenix is a unique wrestling city. You go back, Wrestle War 91 happened this month, 25 years ago.
Sid's only 5-star match?
Yep. I'm sorry, 30 years ago. Yeah. And 35 years ago was the taping of Saturday night's main event from the Phoenix Veterans Coliseum, Memorial Coliseum, whatever it was. It's the old Suns Arena, I just called that. And that was the debut of Rick Derringer's I'm Real American and Hulk Hogan's music video.
Ooh.
So this month, 35 years ago.
Thank you.
I love me some
in Phoenix.
Today in history with Carl Mandic.
Absolutely. Now that Kyle has his shirt off, you can see it's on his left side. The way it hugs his body is so nice. It makes it hard to read because it fits that curve of the muscle under there, but
right.
God.
And the other Viking dude, all his stomach ones, that's all like straight edge, right?
Yes. Raymond Rowe or Ivar, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They have new names.
They have new names. Ivar is straight edge. So he has, same as CM Punk, he has straight edge on his stomach. He has the 3 X's. I think he has the X's on his hands. So in addition to being very into all things Viking, he is straight edge.
Ivar and T-Bar are both on the main roster. Is that
Ivar and T-Bar are both on the main roster.
Okay.
Marketing.
It's gonna be one of those days with my internet. Can you tell me what our time is right now?
13 minutes and 16, 17, 18,
all right.
19,
I'm like
20.
2 seconds behind. That's
no,
fine.
I'm also 2 seconds behind. That's okay.
I didn't realize that the blue, I started to look at his tights and I remembered I was like, why do they have a Bluetooth logo on there?
The same thing.
And then I went through and I guess it has some, I guess the Bluetooth logo in its roots is actual.
It's like a
Viking
Norse
alphabet.
rune.
It's a Viking rune. Yes.
Okay.
I believe that's what they call their typography. The lettering is a rune.
It's kind of interesting.
So,
rune. Okay.
Miss Amy, you're newly minted Top Gal. What brought you here to ad free shows, and then more broadly, what brought you into wrestling?
Well, I listened to Conrad and Bruce doing There's Something to Wrestle With. And I even listened to Matt Coon and Robbie E when they did their show. Yeah. And,
how it ended.
Yes, how it ended. I love that show. And so I just kind of was hearing, I guess, them talk about the ads, about ad-free shows and all this other stuff. So I kind of checked it out. I started out, I guess it was right after Christmas, and did just the toot level. I was like, I'm going to start off there.
That's where I started also.
And so then came the Arn Anderson and Dax Harwood like Zoom. And so I was like, I really, really want that. I mean, Dax and Cash are my favorite currently, and Arn and Tully are my favorite forever. And so I was like, I really want to be on that. Of course, you can only do that by being top guy. So I went to my husband, which he's so wonderful because he really does help, he allows me to live this wrestling fantasy. So, and I told him what I wanted. And so he said, okay. And so that's what brought me to the dance. And like I said, I've gotten to, it's only been a month that I've been actually in the top gal tier, and it's been pretty amazing. I've really enjoyed it. So I've got to talk to Tony and Carl, and I got to I'm going to be talking to Eric Bischoff, And
I just talked to him the other day.
I know. Well, you're part of the reason why I get to talk to him.
Yeah. Super.
So,
we got to give a hat tip to James Quello as well, who kind of shouted out Eric and was like, look, she deserves a call too.
Exactly. Because I was like, all these people are saying how nice he is, and I missed out. I don't know what happened. So
he could not have been. He actually called me while we were recording the show last week.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how cool Eric is. So I call him, or I didn't call him. He calls me, and he asked me how I'm doing. I'm like, oh man, I'm just in the middle of doing my show. He goes, oh, you're doing a podcast? I go, yeah. He goes, well, I'll call you back afterwards. I was like, you don't have to do that. Like, it's fine. I actually said, it's fine that I'm on mute. They can't hear me. Was what I said. And he was like, no, I'll call you back. So he called me back like 40 minutes later. He called me back so I could finish doing my show. That's ridiculous.
I know. He didn't text me. He messaged me and says, I'll call you tomorrow. And then he messaged me back and says, I'm sorry, something's come up. I can't call you. I'll call you this weekend. I'm like, dude, you're doing me. Like, that's fine,
Super
whatever
nice guy.
Call. I'm like, I got my phone. I said, I'm ready. But I've watched wrestling forever, TJ. Like Memphis wrestling, from where I'm from Kentucky. And that was a big in Western Kentucky. We could get Memphis wrestling. And,
you know where this is going already, but go ahead. We talk about him every show.
But Jerry the King Lawler, and I can remember Jeff Jarrett probably just starting out. He was probably like 18 or 19 when I was watching. Although, and it just kind of led. I love, like Carl said, Saturday Night Main Event. That was a huge part of my childhood. Who didn't want to be Miss Elizabeth? I mean, and she's from Kentucky, so we were kindred spirits.
I definitely wanted to be Miss Elizabeth.
Yes, and Macho Man, and it's just never stopped. It's always just been a really fun outlet, and I've just loved it ever since. And so, really happy to be part of the top gal tier. So
I have questions. Because I didn't get to, because Mother Nature decided to destroy my opportunity to ask said questions to you when you're on Chat Pack.
Yes.
So, and Amy, again, I'm not going to try to bring anything down here, but I've been very transparent about my own life on this show. So, let me ask you this, because this is what I've encountered in my life when it comes to dating and spouses. And now you've said your spouse is really supportive, but when you were growing up and dating and stuff, did you have boyfriends that were like, what's this shit?
Well, whenever so to be transparent, I've been married twice. So
hey, you're part of the club. All right.
Hey,
yeah. This isn't going to be a downer at all. We're going up.
Yeah.
I say some of us need starter marriages. So,
like
the second time. So, with my first husband was kind of during the Monday night, because again, I'm a little bit older than you all. So, so I was in college during the Monday Night Wars. And so my first husband, he kind of watched that with me. We moved to Louisville. And so that's when I was introduced to OVW. And I think he just was like, oh, okay, this is fine. It's just something that's always been there. Like, I've never tried to hide it. I'm like, Monday night is raw, that's kind of how we do it in our house, So
it's appointment television.
So I've never tried to hide it. So they've just kind of gone along with it. Now, if you ask my husband now if he thought that I would still be like accelerating like I am with the, doing the ads free and stuff, he might have been like, no, I didn't really think so. However, he did let me buy. I couldn't find, they don't have their own. Here's my FTR. This is my show and tell.
I love that though. I love
Hold on, keep it up there. There we go.
But I'm anxiously awaiting for them to get an AEW, action figure. But I don't collect belts or anything like that, but I do collect like little action figures.
We'll get you into that. Don't worry.
Don't worry. We'll get you into a lot of things.
I know. But another thing that, again, with my spouse, I have 2 children. Neither one are interested in wrestling. I mean, I guess I took it all for everybody, but my son was interested for a while, and we would go to shows. We would go to house shows, which I prefer going to a house show than other shows, just because um, we go over to Cape Girardeau, which is in Missouri. It's about an hour and a half from where I live, and like we can get like seats on the ramp, and the wrestlers are just so much and more engaged. I don't know if you can see this sign back here. It says, "I'm here for my birthday."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I noticed that. Yep.
Okay, so we took this. We bought tickets for my son when he was really into AJ Styles, and we took this, and we were on the ramp, and it's autographed by Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns and Sasha and Bailey and Apollo Crews.
Heavens.
And Heath Slater.
Oh wow.
Jordan, I forgot his name. American Alpha.
Jason Jordan.
Jason, thank you. I kept thinking Jeff, but that wasn't right. They high-fived him. They Dustin Rhodes like scruffy his head, and I mean, but New Day interacted with them. Like, they're just so much more engaging, and Aaron had so much fun, and I laminated it and I have it in here in my office.
But love it.
Of course.
But he got a free shirt. They played games with him, because it was his birthday. I mean, he had such a great time. You're not going to get to do that at a Raw or a SmackDown. And we have gone to those, but like I said, I prefer house shows. So it really is heartbreaking to hear that they want to stop doing that, because I just think, that just brings the talent. So I think that creates better fans.
That's just absolutely. The reason I asked that question is because as my network freezes, was because like my first wife, like I met her when I was like 19. I just graduated high school, and she was into wrestling, and she went to the shows with me, but I think she had decided that she thought that I would grow out of it, and I just never did.
Yeah.
I mean, other interests came in my life, like I got into football and basketball and baseball, but I was still always a fan, and she just at a certain point was just like kind of over it, and that was a lot of our. She just, I don't know, she didn't like it anymore, and it was really hard. It wasn't like that's not the reason we're not together anymore, but um it was just, I don't know, bone of contention for a while. It was weird. So that's why I asked you that, because you're the only one that kind of in the household that watches it, and so was I. Like my daughter will watch it with me sometimes. I'm trying to teach her to be like, I want her to be a strong woman, and like showing her, like I've had her watch a couple Thunder Rosa matches because I love Rosa, and just showing her that women can do anything, because I think it's amazing when women can main event a WrestleMania. I mean, they main evented a show in front of 80 something thousand people.
And it wasn't like a pudding match,
No,
bras and panties.
Yeah. I would never show her any of that.
Well, sure. I know. I didn't mean you would.
Yeah, no, and of course. So she really liked AJ Lee for a while.
Yes.
And then
for good reason.
Of course, AJ Lee was awesome.
She was.
And then she liked Paige for a while, and then she started to like Velveteen Dream. She loved his music. She loved his music. I know, Brandy. I know. This is before all this.
This is before. I know.
And to the point where the house show I was talking about, I Velveteen Dream was in the main event. So I videotaped his entrance and stuff and sent it to her, and she loved it. And because her mother won't let her go with me, so I'm not pushing it on her, but I'm trying to connect with her a little bit to show, because I want my daughter to grow up to I teach her all the time, just be who you are. Be who you are. And I just like to show her that women can do anything. I mean, they can get into a wrestling ring and be badasses. Like look at Shayna Baszler. Like, I mean, they're badasses. So I'm sorry, I totally took over the show. And can I get a time code real quick?
No.
26 minutes. 1, 2.
All right, hold on.
Amy, I do have a question, and I'm going to try and take some parallels of Frank's. So I'm going to take one goofy thing, one serious thing. You said pudding, so it got into my head. And then he mentioned be who you are. So would you rather, in out of all of this, now we have to consider you're a registered dietitian.
Yes.
Would you rather, because you give off the air of Miss Elizabeth, humble, sweet, comforting, all that.
That's why.
Would you rather play that and be the second to Macho Man, or would you rather be somebody different in the ring, have a different character, and be a heel, like maybe for the Body Donnas, and tell everybody, like almost like a Shane Douglas when he was Dean Douglas, and that like heelish character? You should eat this, you shouldn't eat that. That's like which one would you? I know it's a softball, and I know it's probably going to be option A, but I just had to think of them like, what would be the opposite of that?
What about what was that? Who was that? Buddy Rose in like 91?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the blow away diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be that too. I mean, but I don't know. I'm like, wait, is there a heel way to do this? I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna ask Amy.
Well, like I said, my heart's always going to be with Miss Elizabeth. Like that is just. But you know who I really admire is Beth Phoenix.
Okay. Oh, I love Beth.
Really do.
Love her.
She was at OVW. But I don't believe I was still there because after we got divorced, I moved. So, I think she's amazing. And again, she went through OVW, and she came through in a time where, that was the bra and panty match. I mean, that was that whole scene.
It was her and Natty, and then everyone else.
Yes, and not a lot of competition.
Her case is so sad because she fell directly in between the Trish, Lita, Victoria, Jacqueline years, and then was also in between now. So she was like in that dead spot in between. It was like 5 years sooner or 5 years later, and who knows what they could have done with Beth Phoenix.
Exactly. But I think she, exactly for the situation she was in, I really think she did amazing work. And again, she has a wonderful body and, took care of it. Not saying that other people didn't, but I mean, you can be beautiful that way too. And so I think that's really important. Again, like Carl was saying, I am a dietitian and I am very sensitive to, even just Dax Harwood come out saying about, his body issues. And I would think that there's a lot of potential for wrestlers, especially women, because they have that perception of they're going to have to go out and have a, Royal Rumble 2000, whatever, bikini contest. There's probably a perception of what they needed to eat and what they didn't need to do and that kind of stuff. And it is for guys because I know, there's Ricochet. Sorry.
He's very distracting.
Paducah.
Yes, I was going to say,
finest.
He is from where I am. So, but anyway, what I was saying is that, I just think that her showing that you can be beautiful even if you are bigger, with muscles, I think that that's a wonderful thing. And Carl, if you, that's someone else too. Thunder Rosa is also very muscular and again, very confident and can really show herself off. And so I'm really happy that we see that now, more diversity, even, and I don't mean this ugly. Nia Jax is a bigger lady, but she's beautiful, and
absolutely,
and she has confidence and she holds her head up. And, that is just as important, that you feel that you're beautiful. Right, Brandy?
Absolutely. I mean, just to talk about that, I want to say about a week and a half or so, Shaw Guerrero came out and said that she was going to have to take time away from wrestling because she was experiencing a resurgence of her own eating disorders and needed to take a step back to address her what her ways of dealing with that are because she needed to take care of herself. And
we just saw a clip of
definitely
Ono beating Keith Lee.
I was going to say Cassius Ohno very well. Just Chris Hero in episode 1 of Can Chris Hero Save Wrestling? I think he got into. I actually know it. The second one it didn't as much because that was more Tracy Smothers, but the first one he was very transparent too about his size from all the way through, and that hey it held me back or it didn't or it, but he is so unbelievably talented. I remember wasn't he talking about, and Owens is also gone into this about the singlet, Punk giving him a tough time for that. Amy, we can still love him. It's okay. We can, about his. So it is an interesting conversation that you kind of opened up right there about that, about the whole thing. And it, I should say I would expect Chris Hero to be so transparent, but at the same time, I was like, I bet he doesn't bring her up in episode 1, but he was so forthcoming about it. And I thought that was pretty brave is an understatement for him to address that so quickly.
Well, and to be in a position where you're half naked half the time. I mean, men are wearing their top. I mean, and again, the struggles to look a certain way because, as anybody can know, anybody can say anything on Twitter, and they do. And for people like to tear each other down, it's the saddest thing. But keyboard warriors are out there, and they think because they have a keyboard, they can say whatever they want, and they don't take into account that person. Now, my husband, they watch the Royal Rumble with me because that's my favorite. The Royal Rumble is like my favorite pay-per-view, even better than
most
WrestleMania.
people now, yeah.
And so my husband's watching them, and he's like, "Is that guy got flip-flops on?" And then he throws them off, and he goes, "What the hell are we watching, Amy?" I said, "Honey, just hang on. I know. I don't like them either." And so my husband and my son spent the whole time making fun of Matt Riddle with whatever was going across his pants. It looked like a baseball or what. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it looked kind of like Yankee pinstripes.
Yes. So I had to hear that the whole night, but I have tried to get into Matt Riddle. He is a poor man's Jay for me, for Jay and Silent Bob. And I just can't get past that.
I can appreciate because he's a very legitimate fighter. He is a trained MMA fighter.
Yes.
I can appreciate his talent in the ring. It's just something about his character, his personality. I'm not here for it.
Right. No, I'm with you, girl.
Whereas someone with a Chris Hero, I can identify with because he grew up as the weird kid. He was always taller than everybody. He liked wrestling. He was different. He's bigger than everybody. And I was telling these guys today, I actually feel good about myself today, and that doesn't happen every day.
You look very pretty.
Thank you.
You do.
So it's so important. That's why I always talk about you got to curate your timeline. You got to curate your Facebook friends, because if you doom scroll in your feed and all you see is all this negativity and all this negative energy, it's going to affect you poorly.
Right.
And these guys already with their touring, they're not sleeping. They're always having to work out. They're always having to do a lot. And then you put the food thing on top of it. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Right. And some of us, and I speak from experience, I can look at something and gain weight. It's just, there's some people that are just whatever. Their metabolism works differently. They have genetics that are different. So it's like you already are up against something, and so
it's got to be tough also working for a company that shows you a guy like Batista and says, this is the prototype. This is what a champion looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And for a guy like Kevin Owens that looks nothing like that, that's really got to screw with you.
Yes.
I mean, because every day you go, okay, do I need to look like him? Is that what I'm missing? Is because I don't look like, take your pick of every muscle-bound guy that's ever held a strap in WWE. That's gotta take its toll. Especially, you know, even being on a roster with a guy like Matt Riddle. I mean, the guy looks phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've gathered, his workout routine isn't a whole lot of what other people would have to work their ass off to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
He wakes up, does some crunches, smokes a joint, and he's done with his day.
The same with Finn Balor. He did an interview with, I think, either GQ or Men's Fitness, and everyone's expecting this crazy workout routine, and it's really not. It's really all really about his diet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he doesn't, like The Rock, it's big on his Insta every week for his cheat day. He goes all out for his cheat day. Whereas Finn never cheats. Finn is always like, no, if I cheat, then everything goes to hell.
Right.
We definitely need an AFS. I know they've done this artwork before, but they got to bring it back for Hero. They've got to do the Big Lebowski, and they've got to have him as the dude. And maybe Conrad switch it up this time, have him play nobody F's with the Jesus, the Jesus.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Who's going to be Walter Sobchak?
Beverage here.
Would that be Arn? Would Arn be the Walter Sobchak of the?
Oh
yes.
Yeah, you could do Arn. You could have that. You could have a cat. Oh man, you can cast that one, no problem. You could have. I'm trying to think.
Or would it be
Steve
Cassio?
Buscemi.
I think Cassio would be Walter Sobchak. Steve Buscemi.
Cassio's too nice of a guy. He doesn't
That's
get
true.
mad at anything.
So
That's
it could
true.
be.
Would Buscemi? Would that be
Tony?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, maybe we can go to the In and Out. Shut the F up, Don.
Now I want In and Out. Oh, I miss
to
California.
the body perception thing. What's always interests me about this is they always say Batista's the prototype, Brock Lesnar, Cena, so on and so forth. But if you look over the course of time, the people who's just naturally gotten over with the fans, I'm going to exclude Andre because he was just something the fans have never seen before. But when Carl, you and I have talked about it both on the show and in just in private. When Yokozuna burst onto the scene in '93, no one once ever said, well, he's kind of fat, because you saw this guy and you're like, I believe this guy could rip people's faces off.
Mm-hmm.
But his gimmick was a big fat guy.
Right.
So it worked.
Right. But
And
even still, Bam Bam was never
Bam Bam
was never like
one man
gang. Yeah.
Terry Gordy, Dr. Death was never like ripped. And as you go over time, it seems Mick Foley, and it just seems over time like, yeah, we want to make Batista and all these guys the face of the company, but the fans always endear themselves to the Mick Foleys, the Chris Heroes, Kevin Owens, like that, because they can relate to them.
Right. I think they like underdogs.
Me.
Yeah, they like underdogs.
Is Dusty Rhodes the first to break the mold then? Is that what
Oh my God.
Is that what it would be then?
He has to be.
I would say either Dusty or Dick Murdoch. I don't know which came first.
Well, yeah, Dickie had a little bit of a beer gut. Yeah.
Because to really think about it, think about TV as a visual medium, right? Like you'd see, I mean, Sean, you'll be familiar with this. You go back to like history of like Comiskey Park, and you go to like they had 70,000 people for Buddy Rogers and I don't know, somebody else, Pat O'Connor, something like that. And like they didn't, I mean, yes, the Dumont Network came out, but like now I'm thinking of it like in the 70s when people are actually absorbing professional wrestling, whether it's territorial or I guess really 80s, the breakdown of everything. But when you see Dusty Rhodes, I was trying to think of somebody else who had like a different look that endeared themselves, because he couldn't be a bad guy, just like Flair couldn't be. You're still going to cheer him even though he's bad. It doesn't really matter. It's like they're going to get cheered, and they didn't have to do much else. I mean, when you got the spike in the eye, when we see that, I'm like, oh man.
Matt Riddle
still hits you.
By the way, as we're watching this match.
Those delayed overhead suplexes, that slow pickup, that blows my mind every time.
Like,
no matter who does it.
By saying, I know he's a piece of trash, but he is something else in the ring.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't like the finish to this
what
match.
He can do.
Hero is he's one of the cases in NXT I'll never understand.
No, and if you guys have not seen, people that are watching, if you've not seen Chris Hero
this part
as Chris Hero and be celebrated, look at his matches with CM Punk. Oh my God. Like,
they're still legends to
there's
this
a
day.
reason why they call this match, they call him the wrestling genius. Because he's just an incredible person, an incredible mind.
On the what was that called? The Best in the World DVD with CM Punk.
Yep.
He goes into detail about him and Chris Hero at all these house shows they did in Ohio, and
for IWA Mid-South, and they're on the road,
and he said they did a show. By the way, Henry's here. He's been here for like 40 minutes. But he was talking about doing this show in, some army hall or something in middle of nowhere, Ohio, and they found out this was gonna be the last show before they tore the building down. So Punk and Cassie's literally tried to pull the building down.
The story
was that
of Punk
IWA Mid-South?
from the rafter.
I think it may have been, or it may have just, if it was Ohio, it may have been like HWA or something like that.
So, Henry, are you actually watching the show with us, or are you just sitting there quietly and peacefully?
Actually watching the show.
Okay.
I think I'm a little bit behind. Can somebody give me a time code?
No.
42:51, 52, 53.
How was work, Henry?
54.
I saw you had to get up early because of the vaccine.
Today's was much better than yesterday. Everything seemed to run much smoother.
Well, that's good.
I will say, having watched this match, this is the first NXT product I've ever actually started to consume. I don't know much about this particular product. The Matt Riddle I'm seeing here, I enjoy much more than the Matt Riddle that was in the Royal Rumble match several weeks ago.
Agreed. His work, even just between the two brands, is very different.
I started watching
his best stuff. I would watch his work from Evolve. I would.
I was going to say I would love to see him face off against both of the former MLW tag champs, the Von Erichs. I'd love to see some kind of mix of that. Just
he needs
some kind of, I don't know how they would do it. I'm not really sure what it would look like. By the way, Chris Hero's facial expressions getting kicked in the head are
V-trigger.
V-trigger.
I don't say it as good
Pop
as
that
Carl.
camera out, buddy.
Trying to think.
Oh my gosh.
When I started watching NXT, the champion was. I know I really got into it when Owens debuted. And his opening match, he opened the card with CJ Parker. And that nose break spot at the beginning of the match is still disgusting. Like it was so loud. And it's one of the most confusing spots I've ever seen, because the match starts and CJ Parker just walks up open palmed right in his nose.
Oh.
And you could hear it blow up. Like it was just
You can
awful.
hear it on like the ring mics and on the camera. You can hear his nose breaking.
Oh gosh.
And then he closed the show by powerbombing Sami Zayn on the apron, and then started Neville. That's who the champion was when I started watching NXT, was Neville.
So that had to be the Hulu days, right?
I think so.
That was just when it just started on the network, because I remember when I watched the first Takeover was Takeover Arrival, and it was Bo Dallas in a ladder match against Neville.
That's when Bo Dallas got called up, wasn't it?
Before he got called up.
Look at this. God, look at that.
Dumped him right on his head.
Oh, I know. I'm just like, ew.
So
I didn't like this finish. He's throwing elbows and taps out from elbows.
I agree. That was weird.
It was very odd. I remember that in person, everybody was confused.
Well, I love Riddle gets off of him and Hero is still tapping the mat. He gets like an extra 4 or 5 taps in. That was cool.
Stay away from me. Stay away from me.
Yeah. Stop hitting me.
Those little things, those little nuances that I will say that hit everybody very weird. You see, everybody's like, "What the hell just happened?" Like people are texting and talking.
Right.
Same thing happened in person at New York for Brock and Orton, which closed out SummerSlam. And that ending was bizarre in person. In person, it was so odd.
Was that the hard way when Jericho wanted to beat the shit out of Brock in the back after that one?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
I believe so. Yes. That in person was so odd because everybody's like, what?
Even
just
watching it at home was like, what the fuck was that?
Even weirder, I was listening to it. I was on my way to the airport to pick up my wife. So I'm listening to the feed from this, and all of a sudden it just went silent. And I thought I lost the feed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, no, the building just died. Yeah, that was
even affected. Like, did you ever have that where a show ends like that and then you walk out and even the crowd's a little bit different? Like, I remember like New York the night before was Takeover. People are at the bars and they're like, it was nuts. It was like complete, just like where it is in Brooklyn. Like it was nuts. And then after that, it was kind of sour. Like I remember leaving there and it wasn't as jovial as like Daniel Bryan's a bad one from 30 because that's like how can you like replicate something like that?
Say like 34, but I ducked out before the main event, which was I believe Brock and Roman. Because before that it was Styles and Nakamura, and for myself and my boyfriend at the time we were there. That was our main event. That's what we wanted to see. We didn't want to see Brock and Roman, so we ducked out early to beat the crowd.
It's fascinating to really look at, I don't know, from 2017 on and see how fast just the audience just regurgitated Brock Lesnar. I mean, it was overnight. They were done with him. I was done with him as soon as he won the title the first time.
Yeah.
And like, oh, he's had the belt for 400 and some odd days. He's defended it 3 goddamn times. I could hold the belt for that long if I never defended it.
Didn't most promotions back in the 80s and 90s have a rule that if you didn't defend the title after so many days, they'd just take it away from you?
The WWE did. And if I remember correctly, during that reign, because there was like 3 months he didn't defend it.
Didn't show up at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in the meantime, whoever I can't remember if it was the Intercontinental US, one of the two, they got hurt and got stripped of the title because of the 30-day clause. While Brock is doing it was
it Daniel
silly.
Bryan?
It might have been. I think it was when it hurt her shoulder the second time.
Yeah, I think it was Daniel Bryan. I'm pretty sure. Is Ricochet coming up next?
Yes.
Ricochet and Gargano. This might have been the match of the year too.
Yes.
This was outstanding.
Oh my God, yes.
So good.
How about an underrated one from Gargano? Is go back to, if anybody wants a kind of a sleeper, is Gargano and Cien Almas closing out.
Yes.
That one is a sleeper of sleepers. Like I think it gets lost in his.
And also,
but if I was making
main roster call ups that got totally bungled, Andrade. Oh my God,
is he out?
Did that really get bungled? I mean,
we don't
he's
know
about to
where
marry
he
Ric Flair's daughter.
He's just not on the show. He's not working though. This man is a star.
They don't have Aleister Black working. I mean, they just.
That's insane.
We don't know.
They changed his music too, didn't they?
They did. They took away the good music.
Yeah. I can't. I looked it up on YouTube to find his music, and it's not even like I'm gonna go see if I can find it right now because I need to. That theme is A, amazing, and B, my nightmare because now it's 3 times in the past since I met you guys that it's happened where I've fallen asleep and then somehow it's clicked over from Patreon or where I'm listening to audio to on my phone, my earbuds to my playlist. I've got 2,000 songs, but somehow that Aleister Black in my sleep comes up and it is like that old game of Don't Wake Daddy where like the person shoots out of bed.
Yep.
I'm out. I'm on the freaking ceiling, man. That's scary.
I think they show my favorite moment with Ricochet. It's with actually Velveteen Dream where he does that complete
where he does the flip.
Yes, I think they show it out of the ring into like confront him. Like I will never forget that. That is the most impressive thing I have ever seen.
Yeah, he comes from in the ring to out of the ring, and he's like literally has to take like one step up. Like, what? You gonna do something about it?
Exactly. And just to me, that is his character. Like like I said, I'm just so saddened with what they've done with him. I think they show it here.
TJ, where do you stand on the North American title belt itself? Is it growing on you? Because is it like a fine wine?
I liked it when they debuted it.
I did too.
Because of the nod to history. So I mean, I dug it. I mean, because I think this gets lost on people only because they just don't necessarily research it, which is fine. But the original Dome Globe and NWA title that debuted in 1973 was Velvet. And then of course they had to retire it because it stunk. But and then you had all the 80s NWA belts that a lot of them were on red leather. So I mean I've liked it since they debuted it. And it's different.
Yeah.
So you like the red leather is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because do you remember the original the original European Championship was on red leather?
Yes, it was.
I have since I'm having it custom made by X-Man belts.
And you're doing it on red leather?
I'm getting it on the red leather.
Oh, cool.
Wasn't it on green after a while?
I want to say there was a version with green.
It's kind of like the early New Jersey
That could
Devils
be the
uniforms.
Phantom, like Kane with the green gear thing, though. It could be Phantom remembering that.
Can anybody off just and I'm trying to think of it because I can't do it. Oh, actually, now I might be close.
Is this Iron Man?
Anybody remember?
No, this is the Human Torch.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
gear. Yes.
He's got some. This is.
I love his gear. I love always.
His gear is outstanding.
Fantastic. Anybody?
I follow the gear maker on Facebook, and he doesn't share anything until after it debuts, but he shows the concept sketches and shows pictures of him making it, and I just love. I love Johnny Gargano. He and Candace are both. Oh my God, such sweet humans, such genuinely good people.
And I like them in NXT. Like, be the king and queen of NXT.
Yeah. Who was in the initial? I believe it was a 5-way North American title ladder match.
Velveteen.
Yep.
Gargano.
Mm-hmm.
EC3.
Oh, that's right. He was in that.
Actually, I think it's 6. Now that I think of it, there's one that's gonna
Ricochet. And Adam Cole.
One more.
Was it Keith Lee?
Nope.
Oh, it was Lars Sullivan.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, by the way, good riddance to that turd bucket.
Yes, thank you. Fuck you. Bye.
Speaking of that, Amy, we have one more question. I kind of foreshadowed it earlier.
Oh,
well, I have one more question. We talk about them on every show because we're obliged to. You're from Kentucky.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on old tennis racket, Jim Cornette?
Oh, I love Jim Cornette.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Now, and this is just in general. I go to wrestling as like an outlet. I want to have fun. I don't want to talk politics. I know where he stands, and I'm totally fine with that. He has his right.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he is one of the best managers, minds in wrestling, to be doing what he was doing at such a young age and be so damn good at it. Like, I listened to they had it on Patreon. It was a something to wrestle with. They had like a archives of them
Jim
talking
Cornette
about
episode.
Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
I do. Oh no. I love it. And
R.I.P. George the Rat.
I know. And that Dairy Queen story, that is the best ever. But no, I think he's phenomenal.
And it's really fascinating because the detractors of Cornette always mention how out of touch he is and everything else, but they're the ones that keep bringing him back. Like they keep drawing him back. I'll never forget. they weren't even trying to hide it when AEW first started. It was Jimmy Havoc and two other guys were having a hardcore match. They pulled out a tennis racket from under the ring. Like, you're not even attempting to pretend that you're not listening to Jim Cornette.
Right.
And for anyone who does not believe that Tony Khan reached out to Jim Cornette and he turned it down once he heard he was involved, that happened. I totally believe that happened. Why wouldn't if you're starting a wrestling promotion and you don't ask Jim Cornette's advice, you're being irresponsible.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because it seems, and I don't, this is going to sound disparaging. I don't mean it to. But it seems like if you're into AEW, specifically a specific a group of people, the Bucks, Omega, so on and so forth, then you don't like Cornette. Otherwise you do. And the reasoning is, and we've talked about it here too a lot, he goes after those guys a lot because he's had to work. I don't know if he's worked with Omega. I know he's worked with the Bucks pretty quite significantly. And he just doesn't care for Omega. But I can tell you
that's a work.
What's that?
Cornette not liking the Bucks.
Right.
That's a total work that has been witnessed by multiple people that backed up Nick's story that said Cornette walked up to him, "Hey guys, how you doing? It's great to be working with you." 20 minutes after he was online calling them spot monkeys. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a fan of Cornette for the reason that I'm not a fan of 90% of wrestling Twitter. Who the fuck made him the gatekeeper?
That's true. It's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. You know, he's allowed to have his opinion, and what he has done in the past, absolutely one of the best managers. His work in keeping the history of wrestling alive, can't knock him for that. Mm-hmm. But the I know and only I know, and to quote somebody else, only I can fix it attitude doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And that's my biggest gripe with him is once again, the only I know, what I know is the best. This is how it has to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sean, just for clarification, because I found that very intriguing, the Bucks and Cornette deal. Do you believe it's a matter of like Pillman and Eric, where they're at the end of the bar, like little nod, a wink, like, "Hey, let's work."
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, that's what I thought you were saying.
I think that is definitely reciprocated. Mm-hmm. That I love the Bucks because they are able to take the dumbest thing in the world and make something out of it. Finding out the Too Sweet lawsuit, the cease and desist never existed. That to me that's wrestling genius right there. And Cornette, yes, he is a wrestling genius. He knows what works. But yes, I believe that they both work together. I think there's a lot of wrestlers on Twitter that work everybody because they can.
Sure.
That's another thing I think gets lost a lot is like Cornette and the Bucks are a great example. Actually, if you remember when Piper died, Nash came back into the spotlight because what happened in, what was that, 98, and they mended fences towards the end of Piper's life, but then they had a spat just before Piper died about that event in 98, and Nash was going to come on Piper's show, his podcast, what I listened to at the time, and Nash goes, "How do you know we weren't working you the whole time?"
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's like, this is what they do. They do this every day.
I would say I'll throw it out to the group on this one. What about, so if you go to a dirt sheet, if you go to a Meltzer or a Keller, you're a stooge because you're giving away information, and then they'll write fondly about you, or they'll write, they won't be as harsh, or they'll feature you a little bit more. But if you make a deal with a guy that's got a podcast and a lot of listeners, like a Cornette, like I'm trying to think of other personalities. Hell, I don't even I don't know if it's because AFS feels very
Busted
unbiased.
Open Radio.
You're busted open. There you go. Thank you. There you go. So then what are we don't call it stooge. We're like, oh, they're working together. So it's interesting that it's like, because like the Bucks get any pub is good pub, right? So it's like Cornette, because Sean, the more I think about it, the more I think you couldn't be more right. Like you were spot on about that, and I never saw it in that. And that's why I like Top Guy Theater. So, no, I just never saw it from that lens, I guess you should say, or do that.
Well, another thing too, if you remember when FTR signed over to AEW, what was the first thing they did before they even appeared on TV?
They went on Cornette's show. Absolutely.
And if you think AEW and Cornette really had that big of a rivalry, do you think they would let him do that?
True.
Probably not.
Actually, with AEW, I think they would. I think Tony Khan affords his employees way more latitude to promote themselves.
Oh, for sure. Well, especially now. Especially now.
Right. I think Tony Khan, like Carl just said, any pub is good pub.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Khan seems to feed off of that. So.
Well, and now it's not just TV. Like you said, it's dirt sheets, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's just,
Right. It's everywhere.
Everywhere. And, controversy creates cash. And so that's, like you said, and Jim.
However, context is also king. And where a lot of problems come up is where people take these snippets out of context and create something out of nothing.
Like they do with Jim Ross every week.
Every week.
The other problem I have with Cornette is the snap judgment and trashing of things that he doesn't like or doesn't understand.
True.
I was sent a clip of his reaction to the announcement of the Japanese bracket of the AEW World Title Eliminator, and I was horrified by the things he was saying about these women because he didn't know who they were. And I'm sorry, if you just plugged Maki Ito into your Google machine, you could read her little Wikipedia bio and you'd find out that, yes, she was a kawaii idol, meaning she was super cutesy, dressed like a cute little schoolgirl, but she was fired. So now that's why she still dresses like that, but she uses all the cuss words and profanity and is always flipping people off because she's a fallen idol. That takes 30 seconds.
Right.
And you don't need to shit on it just because you don't understand it.
Right.
That's a waste of energy, your energy, and the energy that you're putting out into everybody else's ear holes.
But I think that's what people expect out of Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Like they expect.
Oh, they do. I know why he does it. He does it because it's.
Yes.
Like if I was ever listening, because I listened to the Experience and the Drive-Thru, and if I was listening to either show and he was like, man, I researched these Japanese women, I'm like, what? What did you just say? What? Where did you find the time?
Well, he's the guy that gets offended if somebody doesn't know who Pat Connor was. But then at the same time, he doesn't give a shit that he's not taking the time to learn who these new wrestlers are.
Sure.
And, it's like, well, you didn't do your homework. Well, Jim, you're not doing your homework either.
And to that, I would
go ahead, Henry. Go ahead.
To that, I would almost respond, what new stars? And I've actually been waiting for a little bit because I've been doing a little reading and research.
By the way, Henry, your Funko Pop wall's getting absurd.
It's the same Funko Pop wall.
Ugh. It seemed like it grew since the last time.
It could simply be because I now have a candle on this table.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
But I go back for a second into the Royal Rumble from a couple of weeks ago. The number one contender for either the Universal title or the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania isn't a star like Mustafa Ali. It's not somebody like Riddle. For the record, I think Riddle's a scumbag. Riddle, however, is newer talent.
Well documented.
And I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Our number one contender came down to the first two people into the Royal Rumble, Edge and Randy Orton. I like that Edge is back. I do. But if the idea is to push newer talent and to try to get more people over and try to grow the brand, why is Edge competing for a world title at WrestleMania?
Okay. You want to know what the real
I agree 100%.
Hold on, I'm not
can I answer
finished.
that? All right, when you're done, let me answer that.
You could accomplish the same thing without him needing to win the Royal Rumble. You could still do it at WrestleMania. Why is Edge the person that's going to WrestleMania to fight either Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre? Thank you.
Or Finn Balor.
Or Finn Balor, that is correct.
If they weren't willing to put over Goldberg, Finn Balor's not winning the title.
I know. I'm saying no. Finn Balor is the NXT champion.
Yeah, the NXT champion.
I think they're looking that might be the match. But just to answer the question, I think right now the WWE is searching for answers and searching for ratings, and I think they think Edge is that answer. So I think that's where they're going with that. That's the only reason, because I agree with you, Henry. I mean, just watching this Ricochet and Johnny Gargano match, I think Ricochet is a star and probably could have used a rub, right?
For the record,
quit getting beat by Retribution.
I picked Riddle out of the hat over anybody else that was in the Royal Rumble because I looked through the time it took to eliminate said people, excluding Edge and Orton, who started the Rumble, and according to Wikipedia's information set here, were in the Rumble for the exact same amount of time. I don't know how the hell that works.
Edge and Orton?
Yeah, Edge and Orton were both in the Rumble for 58.5 minutes.
Because they started the match.
Yeah, because they started and finished at the same time, so that would make sense.
But the person who lasted in that match the second longest behind either one of them was Matt Riddle at a little over half an hour, 31 minutes, 17 seconds. I get right now why we don't push Matt Riddle. I'm not saying that we should. What I am saying is that you've got a wealth of talent within your rosters. How hard would it be to give somebody else a rub? Somebody that rightfully deserves it, instead of trying to go for the cheap ratings pop? Because if you can put a younger talent over, who's to say that younger talent's not going to take off like Stone Cold Steve Austin did? When he beat
what younger talent have they not absolutely destroyed with 50-50 booking on Raw or SmackDown? Ricochet is getting his ass kicked by T-Bar or whoever they got in Retribution.
T-Bar.
So, you know, Matt Riddle's talking about bro nuts, and it's just like, oh my God.
I think part of the reason that we see 50-50 booking so much right now is that the last live show that they came up to Buffalo for a taping of SmackDown right before everything started shutting down in 2020. And they're doing 50-50 booking because, unfortunately, when you're piping in people on TV, kind of like we are right now, as I look up top at the rest of you guys within our Zoom call.
Oh God, that's such a harsh.
You can't really gauge true fan reaction. You can't tell what really works and what really doesn't. For the record, I think SmackDown and NXT are far superior to Raw. I'm of the opinion, and no one is going to change my mind, that Vince McMahon needs to retire. And to further a point you all were talking about,
never going to happen.
Jim Cornette, we're not so politically toxic to a publicly traded company. I'd hand him the keys to Monday Night Raw and turn that into your development territory. Let NXT be the second main brand behind Friday Night SmackDown.
If WWE really cared about pushing new talent that they built, Keith Lee would have won the Royal Rumble.
True.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
If you can't draw $1 with Keith Lee, you have no business being in the wrestling industry.
Again,
well, Keith Lee was also out of the Rumble because he was exposed to COVID with his now fiance.
Oh, that's right. Okay. But I still don't believe at any point somebody looked and went, you know who should win this? Keith Lee. I think Edge was their guy 6 months ago.
He debuted the roster and they put a kilt on him.
Okay, so if there's a live audience, is Keith? Let's just say that they're running what I actually think it was supposed to be Tropicana Field, because they've been on this past 2 years. They've been in baseball stadiums, right?
Right.
They did Houston. They did Phoenix. Was that? By the way, that Royal Rumble layout worst ever. From a fan, from sitting in as a fan.
Yeah, I had 3 lighting trusses I had to look through to see the ring.
Oh my gosh. You just, as a fan, I was livid. But anyways, if there are real people, let's say it's at Tropicana Field, call it any indoor baseball stadium for that matter, but let's just say Tropicana Field. I wonder if that changes booking. That if they're like, you know what, we'll go with the sure thing and we'll go Edge because there's all we've got is pipes and noise. But a Keith Lee pop would have been like Daniel Bryan loud. So I wonder if live bodies, warm bodies are starting to factor in to how things are done. And even I look back at the Full Gear card now and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that was done because they had that at the time, 1,000 people, live people was the most that they capped it somewhere between 900 and 1,000.
Right.
Was the most for that. And I'm like, I wonder, because if you look at it, MJF goes over. You've got, what was the other one that I'm totally blanking on right now? Darby. Thank you, Darby. I'm like, I wonder if they did that because of that. And now that you bring up the Keith Lee thing, it's like, oh yeah, I wonder if that was because that would make, and I know the COVID thing puts a complete wrench into this argument, but
I think
the what if game.
Probably a fair point because with everything you just mentioned, we know Edge is over. We know Edge is going to get the match we want with whoever we choose that he has it with. He's a sure thing. Now, and here's another argument I'll make. And before I even start this, I'm not blaming anybody. Let's just make that clear. These are just facts. Right now, after the Royal Rumble last year, I wouldn't say he's probably the top star, but he's in the top 5. He's certainly the best story since last year, and that's Edge. By far. Mm-hmm. It's not even close. Mm-hmm. And you could make the case that Edge and Orton's generation, with the exception of Roman, was the last generation to have these bigger than life stars. Because I understand television penetration, everything else has changed, but
you said penetration.
I did. And I'm going to say it again if you keep mouthing up. But so I don't know. And that's my issue with WWE. Keep bringing back legends. Mm-hmm. Is every time you do that, it shows how over your roster now isn't.
Exactly.
Anytime they bring back Austin, he's the biggest guy in the. And now granted, it's probably an extreme example. It's Austin. So let's just say Mick Foley. Every time they bring back Mick Foley, he immediately. I don't care who he's in the ring with. He takes it over because he's Mick Foley. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the answer is. And AEW, they have the freedom and everything to do more things creatively, but they're in the same dangerous spot of not being able to really get anyone over. And unfortunately, I think we're going to be in this 800,000 person rut that them and NXT have been in. I don't think it's going to get very much better than this. And I don't know what the answer is.
No. And something that I've felt with WWE, with the main roster programming, is they're just stalling. They're waiting. They're holding back whatever plans they really have.
I said that a long time ago.
When there are fans. Yeah. Yes. I think that's probably where I got it. They're just holding back. They're just treading water.
Mm-hmm. God, I hope they're in a holding pattern. Otherwise, I don't know what they're doing.
Can I just say real quickly, I love when Johnny Gargano, I love when his hair gets crazy like this. They've been wrestling for over 25 minutes, I think, at this point. Mm-hmm. And I just love, like I said, these are two guys who are giving it their all. Look at his hair.
Yeah. This match has been phenomenal. It's been so good. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is why I like watching wrestling right here.
Mm-hmm. Amy, I hope this comes off as endearing, but I caught right in the middle of TJ's thing when there was that tope suicido or whatever front. It was like just an absolute insane over the turnbuckle.
Yes.
Like to the corner. I caught the, I love that.
Yeah, I heard that.
We're booking you with it's
Poison Rana.
Oh my God. Actually, you know what? There you go. There's another example of a move we saw at Wrestle Kingdom. Brandy, when I sent that out, of Ibushi and where it was done off the apron, and I flipped out, but I forgot that it was in this match too. They actually did it, just a little bit of variation.
I think Gargano and Candice are the only ones who use a poison rana in WWE.
I would say, yeah, and I did think that, but you made a good point that I thought Ibushi's wrists were like
Ibushi
snapped.
looked like he fucking died.
But no, if I was 80s booking Amy as Dusty Rhodes, I'd be like, baby, you're gonna be Catalyst Whisper. All the girls love that George Michael. Baby, you're just gonna be Catalyst Whisper. I love
that. You see the bald heads in the front row there?
Yeah,
I'm wearing the
yes.
Oh, nice.
That Hancock's on my right. I don't know who the bald guy on the left was. He was there when we got there.
Just a random bald guy.
Just a random bald, random bald guy with a goatee. Who would have figured at a wrestling show?
Imagine that.
And then Hoop and his brother are just to the right of where Gargano is, about 8 rows back.
That's so cool.
So we got to get in the story of Amy here a little bit earlier. Sean, you're at this show, so let's do your intro to wrestling story, ad-free shows, and then your experience here in Phoenix.
Intro to wrestling was Saturday morning, 1987-ish, flipping channels, and I saw Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty come off the top rope with dual elbows, and I was hooked instantly. I've never had anything hit me where I just went, oh, wait, what was that? I'd never seen anything like it before, and to this day, Shawn Michaels is still my all-time favorite.
I knew I liked you, Sean. I knew I liked
you. You can come back. You can come back, Sean.
Well,
you can
and
hang
there's
out.
also a little bit more. My first name is Sean. My middle name is Michael.
I love it.
So
that's awesome.
And there's some similarities in our personalities as well. But no,
Sean,
and then
how old are you in that when you had that experience in 1987?
7.
All right, so we're the same age, right? You're 40?
I just turned 41 in January.
Yeah, see, I just turned 40 in August, so we're the exact same age. I was a year later, and I saw, I was like, why are those two fat guys beating up Hulk Hogan who's chained to a guardrail? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Right, it's like it was the Mega Powers Twin Towers thing.
Twin Towers.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but go ahead, Sean. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ad-free shows. I go all the way back to the first episode of the Ric Flair show. So I've been, and then when Low-Key Big Hog and Glass Bottom Boat Rider for Tony for years, and then I just finally bit the bullet and upgraded to Top Guy. I've worked all 4 Starcasts for Conrad. Whatever that dude asks, I'm there.
I'm supposed to be working the next one because it's in Chicago.
It is an experience. I've gone to South by Southwest because I'm a musician. I work with bands, and so I've done South by Southwest. I've done Starcast. I haven't done a WrestleMania yet, but Starcast is a very special event. It's a lot of fun.
How do you become somebody that works it?
You ask.
You offer. They want. They'll take it.
Legit. The first Starcast in Chicago. I was living in Naperville, so
hell yeah,
30 minutes away, maybe
something like that.
And the night before, I hit up Hancock. I was like, "Hey, man, you guys still looking for volunteers?" Sure, dude. Come on down. Be here at 8 a.m. And then 4 Starcasts later, here we are.
I asked. I talked to Dave Silva, and
I love Dave Silva. Dave Silva is a national treasure.
He still has. I mean, they still have the building booked, which is McCormick Place.
Yeah, and I know Conrad's got that hotel pretty much for life.
So whenever it comes up here, I'm in.
When's it
when's it planned for?
I think it's planned for May.
When All In is. It's in September, I thought.
Oh, so is that late?
Yeah,
September. Because Double or Nothing is in May.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was in May.
Yeah, no, the Chicago event coincides with All In.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Or All Out is what they call it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's enough time. So if we're talking September,
yeah, I think we might actually be good to pull it off.
Because McCormick,
and,
I don't know.
I'll come down. I know a bunch of us will come together.
Yeah, I was just saying
because we've got the hotel and then we've got the Sears Center.
I live an hour away.
Well, I was just saying McCormick is like an hour.
No, it's not
away
McCormick.
I was just saying it can't be because that's a traveling hospital right now.
Sears Center, Hoffman Estates.
Okay, right. That's what I was
just
saying.
Off of 90.
That had opened. They had the Chicago Machine, the lacrosse team there.
Right.
They had, but no, I've now seeing it. So StarCast is at the same venue, correct?
StarCast is at the hotel across from Woodfield Mall.
Okay,
and then there are shuttles that can take you from the hotel to the venue, which is 15 minutes maybe.
And I don't think that's asking too much. I mean, like if we do, if they decide to do, let's say low key Big Hog, maybe. Or if they do it this year.
Oh, we can. Yeah.
If they do July, and then break, I know the weather would be ungodly in
maybe
Alabama or August. Yeah, I mean that would be humid as hell.
You want to see Brandy turn into something you have to carry in a bucket?
Yo, it'll be so
South in the summer.
I've never been to the South in summer. Well, I take that back. I've been to New Orleans for is that Labor Day weekend?
I was in basic training in San Antonio, Texas, from June to August.
Oh Lord!
Good night.
How did you not die?
It was hard. It was very hard.
Were you at? Where were you? Air Force Base.
I'm drawing up like down the Air Force Base in San Antonio, Lackland.
Yes, that's where my dad went. That was where his basic was. I think that's pretty much everybody in the South. They go there.
I think so.
And then I was later stationed in the summer in Biloxi, Mississippi, and then Augusta, Georgia.
Oh,
so I've gotten my fair taste of Southern summers.
Yes, I live Southern summers. So no.
Though that in Wichita are the toughest summers. Louisville, being at that, it sits in basically a basin, a crevice, next to the Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten
Southern summers. I literally brought 4 shirts to work today, living in Louisville, because I would just be pouring through them.
I've done Southern summers, and now I'm living Lake Michigan winters.
I would take a Lake Michigan winter any day.
I'm not complaining. I'm one of the weirdos that lives in the north and likes winter.
I love winter.
Yeah.
You are a weirdo.
I don't have a problem with it either.
Oh, I do.
I don't like snow. I don't like cold. I would live in a temperature-controlled bubble where it ranges approximately between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit with a slight breeze.
That's oddly.
You want to live in San Diego?
Yeah, I was going to say San Diego.
San Diego's too expensive.
Yeah, that's the only problem. But it's 85 year round.
I know 85 is way too high.
Sean,
I die.
Yeah, but 85 no humidity.
Would you say you have a bigger problem with Phoenix's hot summer, like where it's like 117 for a couple of days in a row, or for you, do you have a bigger problem with there not being change of seasons? Because that's what I will, on a personal note, that's what I struggle with the most. And by the way,
seasons is tough.
Not having that is weird as hell. Here, you want something super confusing while we're talking arenas and all this? You have Talking Stick Resort Arena, and this is going to lead into it. And then you've got the Talking Stick Resort, the two of which are completely in different areas.
Yeah, they're not even
downtown
close to each other.
They're not even close. So I did Lyft when I got out of TV. I did Lyft, and I had these 2 girls pick them up from the airport, taking them to Talking Stick. Efren is actually P. Deal's Blackjack there. So go say hi to Efren over at Talking Stick, the resort, not the arena. But these girls came in to see Ariana Grande. They were just turning 21. It was like their first concert. So I'm talking to them, and I'm like, hey, she's not playing here, right? You're just staying here. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it's at the arena. They're like, the arena is at the hotel. I'm like, no, it's not. It is the most confused. I know that it's very regional, and I'm getting hyper local with it, but You said South by Southwest, and my eyes almost jumped out. I know this is the worst question ever. It's the Mount Rushmore. I hate this question because everybody says I like a little bit of everything in music. So I'll just ask, what performances at South by Southwest do you say I can tell the next generation about that, or the generation behind that about? Is there anybody that really hits you, and any like hidden favorites that we may not know about?
I've never done official South by Southwest. We were part of unofficial. We actually ran. There was a venue there called Club 311. It's on right in the middle of 6th Street that we would run. Ran a couple of years in a row and saw some amazing, unheard of local talent from all around the world. But just the experience of, if you're into music at all, let me give you a little taste of South by Southwest. You walk down 6th Street, which is your main, there's bars every 25 feet. There is a music venue.
That's the Port Indiana, minus the music venues.
So you can start all the way at the end of 6th Street. You pick up a couple of breakfast tacos at Hoke's Death Metal Pizza. Amazing breakfast tacos. And you can go door to door and hear bluegrass, followed by the next door has techno pumping out of it, followed by Scandinavian death metal, followed by Japanese pop. Every building has a different act, and they start at like 10 a.m. and end at about 2 a.m.
Ooh.
And about every 25 minutes, there's a new band on stage. So if there is a genre of music you like, you will be able to find it in multiple locations for free. Because none of these bars charge admission. Or if you want, you'd stand on the sidewalk and listen, because most of them, the front window's open. But it is, if you are a musician or if you are into music, it is like Disneyland. It's an experience that you have to experience. We get done at the end of the night and we go, there's a little bar called Friends right on 6th, and they would do a live blues jam every night. Some of the best musicians you've never heard of, I saw on that stage. Dudes that I don't even know who they are, but they were amazing. And it was, oh, hey, you want to play? Here's a guitar. Go ahead.
Two things. So we've kind of discussed how like I get absurdly lucky. Like the first time I get to do my first ever wrestling show was WrestleMania 19.
Nice.
And then my first ever concert was Warped Tour 03 in Chicago. So my first concert, I got to watch the Ataris when they were hot. That was the opening band. Now, for people that don't know, Warped Tour has like 11 stagers or something bananas, and it's actually in the parking lot of the Tweeter Center. It's been named 100 different things.
Oh, is that downstate, like downstate Illinois?
Yeah. No. It's outside Chicago.
Oh, this where the Chicago Fire play.
Yeah.
The soccer stadium.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
It's changed names 11 times since then. But
someone that's downstate.
I saw the Ataris opened. They were literally the first band to play that day. And then I saw the Used, and the Used bummed me out because all they did was piss and moan about like mainstream rock and Stain. It's like, okay, we get what you fucking play a song.
They weren't even singing. They were just
they played two songs in half an hour. It was really annoying. And then after that, I saw Rancid, which was cool.
Nice
to kind of get to see a throwback. And then there was a local band on one of the stages. It was actually, they were called Never Heard of It, and they were actually really good. I don't know whatever happened to them, and then we
probably ended up being Fall Out Boy,
probably. And then
which
we
is
ended up
Brandy's
seeing,
favorite band, just as FYI.
See, this was the punk time of like Good Charlotte, Blink-182, like it was that time frame.
Could have been seriously. Could have been.
It could have been Fall Out Boy because they're from Chicago.
I'm joking. Yeah, but, I'm being serious.
The closing band was Sum 41.
Nice.
They were the closers. And the second thing I was gonna say, I'm going to jump back to the show now. I remember watching the show now because I remember watching this match, and everyone knew Shayna Baszler was going to be a star. Everyone knew that. I mean, she was so good, it's unreal. This is the match I knew Bianca Belair was going to be a star.
Absolutely,
she was amazing in this match.
John and I talked about that off air while we were waiting for everybody. This is the one where it made you sit up and take notice. And now that I've learned about her, I just have so much more respect. All this gear that she wears, she makes all that herself. Ever since she started wrestling, she's made everything she's worn. To be able to do that turn without moving your feet, that's very hard to do. She's just worked very hard. There's a WWE Untold on the network with her. And she's also struggled with mental health, and she's just an incredible woman.
Did you notice the breath that she took right before they held up the belt?
Yeah.
Like they were kind of spouting off, and then she, like, you literally, Brandy, as you were saying, at least on my time code, which for anybody that needs it, I don't even have my remote.
I got it. It's 131, 42, 43, 44.
Yeah, 47. Not saying this to say that Shayna Baszler's facial characteristics are just different, or is that Aubrey Edwards?
No, that is like a car.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's Jess.
Bianca has such a baby face. Like, does she not? She looks like she's. She looks so young here. Like, I don't know why she looks 19.
I have the same problem. I have the very roundness in my cheeks, and that's kind of what it adds to the baby doll thing, is the very round cheeks and the very open eyes. So when they recreated like the big baby doll look in modeling, that's what they try to emphasize: the round, rosy cheeks, the big open, fluttery lashes.
Go back to any Steve Madden commercial. Steve Madden.
And she also looks young because she's pretty early in her career. She has
she's not very old.
And here's the thing I love about this match. For one, WWE was at this time in desperate need of another woman's star, because it was essentially still the 4 horsewomen running the show.
Right.
And Shayna, again, we knew what Shayna was. Bianca comes out in this match and stands out. What I loved about this match more than most other Shayna Baszler matches, I mean, there's been a couple since then that have been ridiculous, especially in NXT. But what I appreciate about this one is every woman that Shayna Baszler wrestles, Shayna Baszler doesn't change. She's an MMA star. She's legit. You're going to have to trick her somehow to beat her, which I appreciate. Right. She's not out here to have a 5-star match. She's out here to whip your ass, which I enjoy. But what they did really well in this match, Bianca Belair is not Bayley. She's very muscular, very big woman. So they did a phenomenal job of using Bianca Belair's physical strength in this match, not as an offset, because of course you can't offset years of MMA training, but as a deterrent, I guess, against Baszler's offense. And I thought these two just clicked. And by the way, I'd seen a couple Belair matches that were mostly, like squash matches. And the hair thing, the hair whip, is one of the smartest things I've ever seen in my life.
Fantastic spot in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that's so creative. Absolutely. I never would have thought of it. Well,
so can we play TJ's favorite game now? Over under Bianca Belair, over under 26.5 in this match.
In
under.
This match?
Under.
In this match.
I think she's over.
Under.
I'm going to say over.
So I have Carl and Amy for overs. Everybody else is under.
Yep.
She is 29. She'll be turning 30 this April. This is January. That April, she'll turn 30.
Wow.
Because she has a child, right? Her and Montel Jordan. Or no, not Montel Jordan.
Montel Jordan.
Awesome.
This is how we do it.
At least I didn't say Montel Williams.
No, in fact, you just came up with the greatest South by Southwest band. Bianca Belair and Montel Jordan, and then if we could just get Alex Wright and Huey Lewis in the News together, then we're set.
Oh,
or a K-pop band.
She doesn't have children. She is stepmother to Montez's 2 children from a prior relationship.
Okay, maybe that's what I just.
Montez is from South Side of Chicago, I believe.
Carl, I don't know why I just thought of this. You mentioned this earlier in the show, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up now. What did Kyoto say about Alex Riley?
He wouldn't. He's like, no, save that. I'm going to save
that Alex Riley is such a mysterious case to me.
He went into it in my candle just went out.
I mean, I remember the DUI thing in DC.
No, it has to do with Cena, and he started to get into it because my question to Kyoto last time was when we did it live over Zoom was he talked so much about the boys that did like to go out. I said, was there any? Not, I didn't use the word he did, but was there any? So many of the relationships are made outside of the ring. So right. I thought, okay, a guy that's straight edge like Punk isn't going out. Kofi Kingston is, playing video games with Xavier Woods. And they even brought up Kofi, that Kofi did make an effort to go out and was like throwing up for 2 days because he drank for the first time. He just doesn't drink. And so I'm like, was there any backlash on a guy like Punk politically for that? And he said no, but he then somehow tied in Alex Riley, and Alex Riley was on a show that Amy mentioned, Why It Ended, and I was like, oh my gosh, why did it end for him? And I think Brandy just said it, that he won't talk about it. It has to do with Cena and a girl, and that's all I know. And I don't know if it's related to Nikki or what happened there. Good Lord. I don't know what happened there or if that was the case, but it's something that nobody's talked about.
That's how secret it is. I don't even know details.
I've never seen anybody drop more things than Carl Mandic.
Wasn't that situation with Cena when he got divorced pre-Bella Twins?
Yeah.
Remember there was that point, there was just a story that came out that all of a sudden he was getting divorced?
Yep.
That would have put that right on that same timeline.
Ooh.
Well, his divorce was a long time coming. His infidelity was widely known, at least on the internet.
Wait, John Cena?
Yes.
I love hearing stuff like this because I've never done dirt sheets. So I hear stuff like this and I'm just like, oh, really? I never knew that.
I don't do dirt sheets.
And he didn't just, he had a full-on relationship with Mickie James outside of his marriage.
Okay.
He also slept with many women outside of that and his marriage. So he was kind of someone as wild oats and enjoying being.
So it was just a coincidence that it came to an end that time.
Something came up, allegedly, out one night at a bar. John Cena and Alex Riley are both there, and this woman of some description, and something happened, and Alex Riley goes to the desk and he's out.
I hope it's not like Paige and Xavier Woods and.
No, not like that. I think it was more.
Hi-ho.
We can't get through an episode without that coming up.
And I'm going to use my clout to make it look like you're irrelevant.
Because here's the way I remember Riley was he got brought up with the Miz, and to me the Miz heel title run does not get its due. I thought it was much better than people give it credit for.
I think the Miz as a heel in general doesn't get enough credit. Exactly. He's a way better heel than he is a face.
Fair enough. And again, he had a ladder match for the title with a 59-year-old Jerry Lawler, and it was probably one of the better matches of the decade. Like, it was really good, and he doesn't get enough credit for that. But Miz really starts to get momentum as a heel. Riley's going with him, and then Riley turns. I think it was Capital Carnage, what the hell they call that in the summer, and then they're setting up for Riley babyface against his heel Miz for the title, And then all of a sudden, Riley gets a DUI in DC, and then he just vanishes shortly after. I didn't know about any of that other stuff.
Hour and a half for your.
I remember that second class of I should say not second class, but that was called oddly enough NXT, where they're running around the ring with kegs and but there are. I'm gonna tie everything together at the end. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm not taking notes. It's like something came to my mind, and I have to like write it down, type of thing. What you just mentioned was, and jarred this one loose, is what defined season 1. I only have one thing I can think of, and I knew of Daniel Bryan being I knew who that was, and I was like, this is weird that he has to be in that. I remember not making the connection. I'm like, I don't know if that doesn't seem right. But what do I remember is they had to do that word association, and Wade Barrett won it on like episode 2 when he got he's like, your word is wind. And he's like, oh, the winds of change are coming. And it was like, all right, that guy won it. It was like over at episode 2. But the second season, I remember it being The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and I just remember his quote and Alex Riley, and I'm like, Alex Riley looks like what the Mean Street Posse, but like legitimate, and he is, because like his dad played in the NFL. He's from DC. His mom's a beauty queen, right?
Beauty queen.
Like this guy's gonna be healed.
That ref just took a forearm to the face.
Literally to the face.
She did.
But I'm like, he's gonna be the antithesis, like perfect. Like, give him that Letterman's jacket, and then I just remember Wyatt's quote of from his football coach at Troy, said that he was built like a tank, but with the motor of a Porsche,
Ferrari or
Rari.
Yeah.
See, Riley reminded me a lot of Christopher Nowinski, and that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Throwback.
Wasn't the second season? Was that Lucky Cannon and?
Yes,
I think Percy Watson.
Percy Watson.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about Percy Watson.
Caval or Loki was on that one.
Percy Watson is one of the commentators for this.
He is one of the commentators here, actually. So it's mail day at Brandy's house. So we got my beautiful blue Yeti has arrived.
Yay!
And I also got a new webcam and a pop filter for my
is that the webcam, is that high res for your peep show that you do each night?
That's for the OnlyFans, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
But yeah, this says
careful
it's
with that
a
Blue
1080p.
Yeti power cord. Don't let your dog, as light as he might be, fall on it, because it will.
Or cat, because I think Sapphire would just play with it just to fuck with me.
Buddy, I'm not using that. It's literally sitting outside of this room. I have to go and figure out. I have to get it. When he came down on it, just even a little bit, it didn't even pull it out. It made it just a little bit loose, so like it was cutting in and out.
Buddy, you weigh like 4 pounds with fur.
Seriously, unbelievable. Like, I was like, what the? I'm like, well, there goes a couple hundo. But no, the cord you can buy off. I love that she got to a standing position out of that.
Mm-hmm. This was the spot.
Strong.
That I was sold.
She is so legit strong.
That's ridiculous.
Like, she's up there with Natty. What she can lift and like squat. Like, she is like she woman.
The Steven Studio is about to change rooms.
Dun dun dun.
What was it's funny. It's a typical husband-wife interaction. It was so ridiculous, but so I finished this side of the basement 2 years ago when I first bought the house. I did it myself. Like the only thing I had, my father-in-law wired the sub panel for the basement. The only thing he did. I ran the wiring, put the walls up, put the drywall up, everything. I did all of it. So I didn't want to do the other half, the other side, and the bathroom's going to be over there too. So my wife and I, something I love about being old and married is like, want to go to the hardware store and see what kind of deals they have. Like we actually discussed that. And I was like, well, Menards has a list of contractors there, right? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, well, let's go see like who's on it. And we can ask around like who's reliable and they get quotes and stuff. So about half an hour into that conversation, I'm finishing the basement now. Because it's cheaper. So I starting next weekend. I'm going to be putting walls up across the wall here, in between the show, because next weekend we have Timmy C from Saved by the Pod. We're going to watch UWF Beach Brawl.
Oh my!
Which is going to be abysmal.
A warning now, just because of that show, I'm going to be day drinking.
I think all of us
so excited. TJ, you saw the screenshot of what I ordered from Pro Wrestling Tees.
I did.
Britt Baker, the MJ t-shirt.
Yeah.
The Dark Side of the Ring has a store there. I got the UWF one and a Top Guy Theater t-shirt.
Yes.
That was the
if you want to get your own Top Guy Theater t-shirt, you can get it in the Carolina Blue, which is worn by Amy today, or you can get the Charcoal Gray, which is worn by myself. And we also have a new design that'll hopefully be up by next week.
It's something like that. Yeah, it was posted yesterday.
Awesome.
As we're speaking, so it was the 12th, February 12th.
Okay. Can I say though, going back to this match, Shayna Baszler has not been used properly on the main roster. She could be a complete devastation to the women's roster.
Yeah.
And they had her bite Becky Lynch for some reason.
We haven't figured that out yet.
And now she's in a tag team with Nia, and all they do is fight. And it's just like she could really be a huge force for the good guys, for the baby faces to go against. Because I just don't ever see her ever being a baby face. Like she's just a badass heel. Like she
is their Brock Lesnar.
Yes,
absolutely,
definitely could have been. And just like.
I don't.
And then you have a team of writers writing for an audience of one, and she's not blonde with a D cup.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, outside of the four horsewomen, and I mean, Bayley and Sasha and Becky Lynch and Charlotte, not Baszler and her crew. Outside of them, Bray to a degree, because they've wasted a lot of Bray Wyatt also.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one or two other people that I can't even think of off the top of my head. All of NXT's been a waste after they got all the main roster. They just it's like, hey, we got him over, former US champ, former NXT champion. Here you go. And they're like, I don't know what to do with them.
Okay, so why did FCW work then? Why did the Shield? I mean, let's think of people who came up from FCW. Rollins, that worked out. Ambrose, Reigns, yeah, I think that worked out.
It's Impact.
Okay, I'm gonna save that for the domino effect at the end because we
haven't done Carl's domino effect in a long time.
Yeah, I know we haven't. Yeah, because Sean and Amy both brought up one common thread that I was like, oh, and this one's more not storyline-ish, it's more hypothetical. But the whole deal with the where was I going with that? Where was I? Where am I now? Sorry.
Who am I?
Literally just lost my train of thought. Where was I?
Carl lost his train of thought. That never happens.
No, I literally lost my train of thought mid-sentence.
We're watching NXT Takeover Phoenix.
Oh, right. From what were we on?
From
Phoenix.
Oh,
FCW. Right.
Okay.
By the way, again, I really need to go back and rewatch that documentary again. But like even Heath Slater had a long career.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that went through there, I mean, Wade Barrett was mishandled, but he's still. And there's another one of people that.
But Wade Barrett was still impactful enough with the Nexus, and then what he did after that, for people to know, you botched the shit out of Wade Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
Wade Barrett should have been champion at some point, especially when he was the leader of the Nexus. Lord,
John Cena should never have beaten 30 of them. That was
and then the core. When the core happened, that was the end because that group was terrible.
That was just a bastardized Nexus. They just wanted to keep them together, but give them a different name.
Ezekiel Jackson.
It wasn't that. Who was the? What was the fun? This comes from Saved by the Pod. They had a fun question. Who was the last ECW champion?
Like the actual company ECW?
The WWE ECW.
Was it Swagger?
Wasn't it?
I think it was Ezekiel.
Oh, it was
Jackson.
Jackson.
It was.
You're right. You're right. It was. And what's funny is Ezekiel Jackson. It's an all right name. Like it's not very common, so you can get away with it. His real name is Ryklon.
Wait,
Ryklon
what?
Stevens.
Ryklon Stevens is his real name. How do you not use that name? I'm sorry, your name's what? Yeah. You're gonna be Ryklon Stevens. That's your name.
That's why when he came to Lucha Underground, they just called him Big Rick because it's spelled RYCK at the beginning.
How many injuries take place if Ryklon and Ryback are a team?
Oh God!
You're
all of them
decimated.
By the way,
Everybody's hurt.
I don't know if anyone's watching Ryback on Twitter. Stop.
Yikes.
The dude's a clown.
I mean, if you need entertainment, I suppose, but you can find better options.
Yeah.
Train wreck that is WCW or ECW in the year 2000 makes better pickings than
Henry,
Ryback.
we need to talk.
I would recommend I would recommend the channel of Top Guy Theater and watch our other 21
There's that.
episodes.
I mean, we only have like 70 hours of content up. But Henry, we need to discuss something because I'm becoming concerned with your fascination and obsession with WCW in 2000 and 2001. You talk about it all the time. You got a parking ticket the other day. You're like, it was worse than WCW in 2000. Like, we need to discuss this and get over it. What is going on? What happened? What happened to you in 2000?
I won't answer that question live on the air.
Well, wait, isn't Eric going back? Isn't the next one or coming up soon? By the way, that girl she looks just like a younger version of Ronda Rousey. It's like
I thought that, and then I thought from the French account like Topanga.
I want his hat.
Oh yeah, Topanga. Yeah, I want his hat.
I want his hat.
If you wear that hat on here, Henry, I'll die. I will die.
I think those are just models because they usually use female wrestlers like Brandy Lauren or whatever name they gave her now from Evolve used to be one of Velvet Dream's girls. But I don't know who those two are, so I think those are just models.
But isn't 83 Weeks doing 2000? Are they doing Sin? Or did they already do Sin?
No, that's not Billy.
I feel like they've already done Sin.
I know, it looks like Billy Kay. But they already did Sin, but aren't they doing another? Aren't they like doing like the last Greed? That's it. I knew it was.
By the way, we also already did Sin in the archive.
I know we did.
Yes,
I was to say we did Sin. Greed. I knew it was like a one named.
Yeah, I think it's Greed.
Like
here's another example of a person coming from NXT, Aleister Black, the most impressive entrance. His look, his character. You can't find something for him. I just don't get it.
They couldn't even get Samoa Joe over.
Oh, that's not even go. Now we're getting
commentary.
What do we do with Samoa Joe? Let him be Samoa Joe?
Right. I love how Tommaso Ciampa he calls it Goldie. I love how he
Goldie. Yes, that's his baby.
And he acts like that throughout the match. Like like that is the most important thing. And I like that.
The street fight with him and Gargano, I still recall vividly. And so we do this with other belts. I think this one is up for fair game. When you think NXT champions, who's your first three?
Finn Balor.
Yeah,
okay.
Finn Balor, Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
And Tommaso Ciampa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nope, I think Adam Cole.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, Frank. Coming in
I'm
hot
gonna
there,
say
Cole.
Adam Cole, baby.
I mean, he did have it for over a year.
I know, but I just don't think he's one of those people that needs it. He's that good.
I agree.
So, was Rollins technically ever in NXT? Or that was when they shot the pilot? Himself, Ambrose. They were switching over from FCW, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Bo
I
Dallas is
believe
the
the
first
ever
champion.
NXT champion was Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
Was it Bo Dallas or Big E?
I believe it's Bo Dallas.
Bo Dallas.
I think it was Bo Dallas again. And wasn't it Bo Dallas? God, not Jinder Mahal. I'm trying to think of who he had in the finals. It was a tournament.
That was before it went to the network, so I don't know.
I think those shows are on there now.
I would say
they are now, but when it first launched, that was before it went to the network.
Ciampa for sure. I think Amy, you made just a fantastic point. It's not obsession, it's possession of Goldie. When he gave it a name, it became a possessive, tangible thing that attached him to the championship, right? So you make a great point with that of how like some guys are obsessed with getting it back. I got to get it back, but he made it possessive.
Yes.
So I would say Ciampa. I think that's a fantastic point. I think Adam Cole, and I think North American. I don't think Frank. You make a great point there. I kind of forgot that he was champion for a year.
Wow, how could you? He had some of the best matches on the card for that
right. Time. And I say that because
he always does that.
He's like always in the main event. But the thing, you're right. Now that you said it, it's like he was the leader of probably a faction that when they had all the gold, it felt like they had all the gold. Like it was like And then I don't know who would be my other one on that list.
See, I always try to go to, who raised the prestige of the title, and also feuds over the belt. And Hogan Andre is a great example, or Austin Rock, so on and so forth through history. So my two, I'm with you guys. I'm definitely going Kevin Owens, for sure, because the impact he made in NXT was immediate and sudden. So I mean, you can't not have Owens on there.
I mean, as sudden as tossing Sami Zayn into the ring apron.
For sure. That's how he debuted on the show. My second one would be, and Owens because of his feud with Zayn, by the way. I'll throw that in too. My second one would be probably Finn Balor. I mean, I can't really argue that one either. My third, and this is going to surprise everyone here on the show, unless you really know me, then you wouldn't be surprised. Sami Zayn. Because his feud with Neville, where he just kept losing and kept losing and kept losing and tried and finally got the title, was, I think that's probably one of my favorite feuds in the last 8 or 9 years.
It's so underrated because people forget about it, but that was how they started NXT on the network, is in the middle of this, at the very beginning of that feud. And it was subtle. Like, it didn't happen like within the span of what would be one takeover. It was takeovers were quarterly.
Yeah.
And it actually spanned from one takeover to the next. And they built it with little things every week of, here's Sami talking about, I got a big match next couple weeks. I'm going to, I'm really focused on Neville. I'm going to do my best. Neville's going to be like, yeah, Sami, you're great. You're doing your best. But you just can't beat me now, can you? And it was just like, neither one of them was really the heel and neither one of them was really the face. But then they would throw those little barbs there. And it was, I want to go back and watch that now.
And I think the best part of the feud, and it's part of the reason why modern booking loses me sometimes, the first gimmick match they had was the ladder match that Sami Zayn won for the title. There was a blow off. And I loved that feud to death. And I don't know when we got to the, well, I do know when we got to the point that every match needs to be a car crash, but we've gotten there, and I don't know if we can go back. I think this is just it now.
God, love his entrance. Look at this. Everything is black. You see the glitter effect, and then on the back on the screen, it just disappeared. It said, "This is my moment."
So
look at him holding. Look at him holding the belt.
Yeah, I know. He's like death grip on that thing.
Yeah.
That makes it. Nobody has done that. Nobody. It would be around their waist.
Yep.
I mean, I liked when Ziggler would spin it around. It would be backwards
or over the shoulder.
Right.
I
so
know.
The Rock would fucking drag it.
The Rock would drag it and toss it, and
nobody had done that.
He's
nobody
holding on to it like if he lets go, he will literally die. That's how it feels like. If he lets go of it, he will literally stop breathing.
I mean, think about Pete Dunne putting it in his teeth.
Yeah.
That's insane. Sorry about Buddy.
That is a gorgeous belt, by the way.
It is, Amy, to your point, and Sean, to yours, Sean, yours on Keith Lee about like, I've never been more, I would say that there was an NXT house show at Comerica right before the pandemic last year. I think it was this be 2 Januaries ago. God, Buddy, it's killing me. Sorry, guys. But Keith Lee in person, it was Keith Lee and it was T-Bar.
Dominic Dijakovic.
Yes. And so like that, I don't understand. And Amy, to your point with Aleister Black, he's got the height, he's got this, that, the only things that I started to think of, and these are theories, I'm just thinking of theories, is I remember his push started to become less when he could not go to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, because of the tattoo on his back and the one that's centrally placed on his chest of the demon woman. But I don't understand why he couldn't just wrestle in a t-shirt like the females. And then it was like Selena Vega, he's married to her, she's out. So it's like, I wonder if he is by proxy of strap metal heat, like the weirdest strap metal. Well, he's got a couple more actually that I didn't even notice until I just flashed him. But I wonder if that's what's been the holdback. I don't know. I'm just jarred. I will never understand. Keith Lee in person is, Sean, you hit it on the head. I've never in my life like seen anything live like that in that intimate setting. He was not on this planet.
I mean, I describe, because I saw Keith Lee on the indies before he came to WWE, and he's always had that presence about him. And I describe it like I would when I got to see Miko Satomura in person. It's like being in the presence of a god. It's like you're in this, because I was in Washington Hall where they have the DeFi events. It's a beautiful old, like a church style building. There's a foyer and a balcony area, and there's a stage, and they have smoke machines going and the music, and it's like being in the presence of a god. It's like you're in this house of wrestling, and there's this god just floating to the ring, and it's like you almost forget to breathe.
I don't know if I'm getting frustrated by watching this. And now, Amy, now that you bring up that they haven't, I'm almost getting like half hot over here. I'm officially, I'm at definitely.
It's like hot. Every match, the person that came up is like, not doing nothing with him, not doing nothing with her.
It's silly.
Like, what is going on? Modern day Undertaker for like the millennial generation, like in a cool way, like in cross generational, like that theme. His tights, the one with a spike on it. I mean, like you could have so many. I could already envision like we've seen different sides of the Undertaker, whether we like him or if you like the Big Red or
I loved Big Red,
biker. Like I could see Aleister Black evolving and doing 13 different adaptations of his character.
Actually, the famous picture I keep showing you guys of me at WrestleMania 19 on camera, I'm wearing a Big Red shirt.
Big red shirt, yeah.
I even kind of even like the whole
explaining his tattoos. Like, what is the significance of the demon woman on his back?
Right.
Why do you have a Day of the Dead skull on your forearm? What about that deity? What about this one? Because he's got an Indian deity on his stomach. And that it's simple things that he already has that you don't have to make up. You just bring it in.
Well, again,
add to it.
To Sean and I think Frank's point earlier, as many call-ups they've had to NXT to the main roster now, you have to try to fuck up this many.
Mm-hmm.
There's no possible way that you botch on 90% of the call-ups to NXT unless you're trying
no company
to.
fails upwards that well.
Right. Unless you're trying to.
Right.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't know what the goal is. There's no other reason. There can't be one. Henry, explain that, because that doesn't make sense to me. Explain the money thing. We're going to make money by making all these guys jobbers.
I mean, look at the $1 billion deal they just signed with NBC to put WWE's WWE Network's U.S. operations all on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only.
But listen, that deal is worth a lot of money because of the existing catalog, not because of what they're doing now.
Right.
Because if you were basing it on what they were doing now, NBC would throw Monday Night Raw off USA so hard that it bounces because it's an inferior product.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's where I'm lost because
but I'm going somewhere with this. You all keep talking about how WWE books basically for an audience of one in Vince McMahon. Let's call a spade, Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
We've reached a point where, and this is going to be a controversial take.
Oh my!
It almost feels like something has gone wrong inside the mind of Vince McMahon.
Oh, hot Henry over here. Well, I've heard from a couple different people whose both business and wrestling opinions I respect. This is actually the first step of WWE getting sold.
But
I've heard that as well.
I've heard Disney.
Yeah, Disney.
So we know it's a 5-year deal, right? So they don't have it forever. But yes, Vince is going to take things gradually, right? He's not going to do it all at once, where it's like trying to stuff a phone book through a paper shredder type of deal, where it's like where he's like going to take it in stages.
Carl, stop.
He's gonna take off hunks and go, you have this, and you have this, and you have this. And I just keep, since Carl pointed it out, I keep noticing other ones. Like he's got the snake and the poison apple from the story of Adam and Eve on his thigh. He's got a wolf. There's so many things you can talk that you can bring into stories.
Wouldn't it be cool though if he goes back to being his, again, if he gets let go or released, if he's Tommy End and then his wife is Thea, and like I would love to see them two do something together.
Yeah,
I think that could be really interesting.
I think
that could be awesome.
I've been trying to figure out the entire show, and I just realized Amy's voice. She is the female pond water.
Well, bless your heart.
Hold on.
I would say
I do say bless
Lacey
your
Evans.
heart. I do say that.
Lacey Evans is good.
And this one going to Henry, to Amy, Sean. Here's a question: Has the SmackDown and Raw after Mania was a big deal because it was like, I wonder who's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What has, now that we've seen, I mean, I was blown away when I heard that Dijakovic had become T-Bar. Like that one blew my mind. That blew my mind.
With the Bane mask or whatever. Like,
yeah, it blew my mind. And I'm like, he is exactly the prototype that's what they want. This tall, super athletic. Yeah, I'm like, there's no way they can jack that one up. So the question is has the Raw and SmackDown following said WrestleMania now been kind of, I don't know, underwhelming, or it's like, what does it matter?
It's diluted.
Have they lost it, or can they salvage it still?
When you consistently use the same show to make an impact after your biggest show, at some point you can't top it anymore. So now it's just watered down. Like it's.
At this point, I watch it with the hopes of, oh God, don't take my favorite. Oh God, don't take them.
We're desensitized to it now. You know, the first big Raw I can remember after WrestleMania was X-Pac coming back after getting fired from WCW. That was the first big one I can remember.
That one's definitely sticks out. Yeah, night after 14.
Yeah, night after 14, and then it's again when you do it every year, like pick a SmackDown. Do have a night after a SummerSlam be big. Like it's always the night after WrestleMania.
The Rumble.
Yeah, it's always the night after WrestleMania. Like after a while, it's just like, okay, we can't. We've tapped this well dry. We can't go any further.
Well, when you have nobody to compete against, why bother putting your best foot forward?
Interesting.
That's good too.
Really,
very interesting.
If you go all the way back to the day Vince bought WCW, the product has fallen off a cliff because there's no competition. Vince, from everything I've read, Vince is a warrior. He has to fight. He has to have something to fight. There's nothing to fight. So you're beating yourself. I mean, they couldn't even pull off a decent Raw versus SmackDown that didn't eventually devolve into the same crap. You could have split right down the middle. This is Raw, this is SmackDown. They are two separate entities and run it as two completely different shows. And you would have had some competition, at least to keep it interesting. There's no competition.
I was just thinking of the SmackDown 5 when you said that.
And even, isn't that the most divisive, polarizing, where you hear a lot of people in there? I don't know. I find this to be a very common thread, not just because I somewhat share it, but everybody, even I believe Conrad's wrestling hiatus, break, vacation, whatever you want to call it, happened when we're like, oh, they're two different entities. And it felt so, to your point, Sean, such a great compliment that when they try to make them two separate entities, it felt like that's a common thread in a lot of people's mainstream wrestling break, was when they split them and they were like, it's too much for me to take in. I'm inundated.
But to go backwards in time just a little bit, wasn't the original idea when Vince McMahon bought WCW to basically keep it alive as sort of a separate brand? And when they tried to promote a WCW style match in a pro WWF territory, and it bombed.
With Buff Bagwell and Arn Anderson, God bless his heart, on commentary, which he's not very good at.
I think that might have gone over better in Atlanta with Arn Anderson behind the stick, but the first major problem there is
I think it would have gone better with a better selection of
Bagwell in a match on Raw.
They saddled poor Booker with Buff Bagwell.
If that had been like Booker T and like Chavo Jr.,
right?
It's completely different.
If you're going to promote it, put your best foot forward. Don't give here's Buff Bagwell. I'm not watching that regardless of what it is automatically because it's Buff Bagwell.
I think too, though, I think a big change came when it went from private to public, and you had stakeholders that you had to produce for.
You had too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yes, and then that's why you're like, they're furloughing all these people, but yet they're making record profit.
That's just corporate America.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think, like you said, I think the talent, it's all about the TV contract. I mean, that's why Raw's 3 hours. You get more money for that third hour, but no one wants it to be 3 hours. Who's watching it?
Well, when Nitro tried that, it became, somebody stop me if I'm wrong, I think it was in 99, they tried going to 3 hours, and that experiment, because WCW had begun the slow descent into irrelevancy by the time it finally went to 3 hours, that they ended up going back to 2, because what the hell do we fill the time with?
Right.
Well, they did that in 98 actually, and it was good for a while.
Let's also not forget they did the 3 hour Nitro experiment that lasted, I think, eight or 9 months, and it went so well that was it over a year?
Yeah.
Oh,
year.
So
they felt different.
They did.
The hours felt different.
It went so well that not only did they go back to 2 hours, they're like, hey, let's get another show. Let's do Thunder.
Well, yeah, but to be fair, that was Turner that wanted Thunder. Eric did not want a second show.
They always say it's a television company that has wrestling. They weren't even that good at being a television company, apparently.
Nope.
Like, oh, this is bad. Let's add 2 more hours. Oh, and our contracts are such that the top guys don't have to show up. Here's Horace Hogan versus Van Hammer.
Who's gonna save the company on his back?
Wait, did you say save or shave? We're talking about.
We're talking about shaving his bag well or what?
Manscaped.com.
But to go back to a point for a second, right around the time that they decided to
Henry's really hung up on this.
And Buff Bagwell, the WCW idea kind of exploded, and that was how we ended up with the brand split. The brand split in and of itself wasn't a terrible idea. In fact, one of the things I've liked since SmackDown moved to Fox, when you watch Major League Baseball, when you watch the NFL, I would also presume when you watch NASCAR, because I haven't watched NASCAR on Fox in like a decade, they're promoting their product. Where on any other NBC product, except maybe USA, because it's on their channel, you ever see them promote Monday Night Raw?
I gotta tell you, that is a fantastic friggin' argument, Henry.
That's why Henry's on the show.
It really is, though. He's so right. I mean, how many Fox games did I watch this year where it was like,
"Are you ready?"
Yeah, it's like, "Are you ready?" This week, this Friday, next Friday, SmackDown.
Henry is king cartographer.
You know who else does that? TNT and AEW.
Yeah.
Many basketball games have promoted Dynamite. But you're absolutely right. You would think that NBC, with this new product that they're bringing to the Peacock, that every commercial break would have Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks' faces plastered all over it. Come to the Peacock and come check out our new product.
Come to the cock.
Come to the cock.
I don't think you can use that in a marketing campaign on TV.
if you put a little height or an apostrophe above it, you can get away with it.
You can say "come to the" and then just use the logo for the app.
Now, here's a first thing. Great call on the Fox thing, Henry. It also reminded me that everybody that read, whether it's now ex-broadcaster Tom Brenneman, everybody read that thing like, I don't want to read this, but I'm going to read it because it's my job. So I'm being told to. This Friday, Kofi Kingston and let's see here. It was always like nobody read that thing with like any sort of enthusiasm, like they really wanted it.
No, it's like the teacher calls on you in class because you have to read, and you're just going to read this paragraph begrudgingly.
Maybe if Tom Brenneman would have read that with some gumption, he wouldn't have run his tirade about the city of San Francisco. Maybe he still have his damn job. Jack off.
Geico-licious. No, going over the I was gonna say, how are they bumbled having a brand split, but maybe they're not advertising because it's only 5 years. I don't know if it's going to be there permanently.
Well, let's look at this too. So when the brand split, the only time the brand split was successful was the SmackDown 5, and it's all because of who was both on SmackDown and who controlled it. It was a bunch of dudes that wanted to prove that they were capable of carrying the company, including Paul Heyman.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why SmackDown or that brand split worked, and it's the reason why it's mostly the only one that's worked.
I think, not to take away from your point, but personally, I think that if they deliberately made it a point to get rid of the free agents and the Hall of Famers and actually treated Raw as its own brand and SmackDown as its own unique brand and NXT as its own unique brand, like they did with the first brand split, this brand split could feasibly work.
They need to get rid of about half the belts too.
Yes, too many titles.
Get rid of that ugly-looking United States Championship belt.
Well,
and bring back
hold
the
on.
WCW
It's way better
one.
than the goddamn piece of shit they gave us before that one. that I had to stare at for 15 years. The toy.
Too many titles or too many names. Ed Leslie has been Baron Beefcake, Big Brother Booty, the Booty Man, Brother Brute Eye, Brute Force, Brutus Beefcake, the Butcher, the Clipmaster, the Disciple, Dizzy Golden, Dizzy Hogan, Ed Boulder, Eddie Golden, Eddie Hogan, the Mariner, the Man with No Face, the Man with No Name, and the Zodiac.
Wait a minute.
His name was not the Man with No Face. You made that up.
According to Wikipedia, it was the Man with No Face and the Man with No Name.
Oh my
and the
Lord.
Zodiac. I think I like that he has two different versions of Dizzy, Golden and Hogan. Which Ed Leslie do you like?
Somewhere on Wikipedia, there's a quote that's attributed to Abraham Lincoln that said this Civil War was on fleek.
No, what's on fleek today is my makeup game.
Yes, you look very nice.
What does that word even mean?
Henry,
it means on point, like it's the best.
Well, why the fuck can't we just say on point? And you got to make old motherfuckers like me guess. All right.
And one time words. How dare we ask you to expand vernacular?
Because it's a lot more fun for us millennials to make you Gen Xers scratch your heads and try to figure out what the hell we're talking about.
One time my daughter said to me, "I'm jelly." I said, "Wait a minute, what?"
I say that all the time.
Did you just call me fat? What?
But I say it ironically.
No,
I say it all the time.
It's
you jelly?
Jealous. Like you're so jelly.
Did it just say jealous? And then she's like, "Oh, Daddy, you're so cray." I'm like, "What the?" I'm like,
"Cray." Yeah.
Are you that lazy? You can't say Z?
Stop speaking to me in half words. I did not know when the show started today that Henry was going to be the goddamn, like he's our Mauro Ronaldo tonight. Like, he's got all these great points. He's throwing one-liners at us. Henry Brent, well done, sir.
Thank you.
The Oscar goes to
The Rock.
MVP.
We need to come up with a shirt design for Henry. I have no idea what it's going to be.
I thought it was just going to be Map It.
Map It's
Oh
good.
my God, yes.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though,
King
Henry,
Cartographer, I like.
You want that red hat. I mean, that just completes it. If you have that, like, kind of like pulled down over one eye, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego logo male version, then is adapted. Then
that's good.
It's
See, I would want, like, a cartoon map, like a treasure map, like they had like the dramatic X, like the dotted line with the squiggles that goes everywhere, and then Henry like peeking over the top with like a red baseball cap on, but instead of CBS, it would say AFS or TGT. I mean,
I love that.
Henry as evolution. You can have a globe.
There
you can have it like almost like I think go back to Damian Sandow's blue T-shirt of like the evolution of man,
God, yes.
the evolution of Henry.
There you go. Because we could have clean shaven, short haired Henry, and then mustachioed Henry.
He's like, I'm in the room, I'm here. You don't have to talk about me.
I'm just kind of listening to the ideas.
And even his backdrop has turned from a wall with nothing to now this wood paneled palace with Funko Pops and a Buffalo Bills blanket from like 1988.
This is all pop art, like Andy Warhol. Like,
you guys think I got it. I actually bought something to add to my wall. Gotta be careful. I don't want to set that on fire.
What do we got here?
This.
Bring it closer.
A little closer. A little closer.
Great American Bash.
From 1990, from the year I was born.
Very cool.
Oh my God!
Where did you born in 1990?
When I found it on eBay, I presumed it was a poster that was about 11 by 17, and I was slightly disappointed when I opened it up, and it was about 8 by 10, 8 by 11, 8 by 12.
Literally the same thing. Yeah, I got Halloween Havoc. I thought it was a giant
I want
poster.
that, Carl.
Yeah.
You know why I want it? Because it would go well with this.
The run sheet from that show.
Yeah.
Wait, where did you guys get the run sheets again?
YouTube.
He won that.
83 Weeks has its own YouTube channel.
Giveaway on the YouTube.
I wanted to tell the story.
Wait, on whose YouTube? I'm sorry.
The 83 Weeks YouTube channel. It hit 50,000 subscribers before the end of the year. There was a guy Eric Bischoff was tweeting about it, that actually won the right to call a match, a show, something like that with Eric Bischoff. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of people got these format sheets from Halloween Havoc. And as you can see, I really can't tell if I can see it because my name blocks the bottom as I hold it like that. It's autographed by Eric Bischoff. That panel would actually go well with it if I could find one.
Is it just Eric, or is there somebody else that signed it?
That's just Eric Bischoff's autograph. I was looking at one the other night from Halloween Havoc 93, and I couldn't figure out why this looked so... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is from 92.
Also, I'm sad that I asked Henry where he bought it when literally our next T-shirt is designed after the eBay logo, and it says "Get your credit cards ready."
Because that's what we
that.
do on this show.
Yes, I just paid off my Amazon card from what we did over the summer. Okay.
So what you're saying there, Frank, is that you're going to go on eBay on the next show and spend $2,500 for a replica of the WCW counter to the Intercontinental Championship.
You're talking about the United States Championship?
That's what I said. Yes.
I am looking at that now. So I think I've told you. So I've got the big.
Wait,
eagle,
this is
the
real?
Eagle. Well, that's my next belt. I think Henry I'm not going to spend that kind of money, but that's my next belt. Yeah. So I've got the winged eagle, the big eagle, all authentic WWF. I've got this now, the Intercontinental title that I
don't mean to cut you off, but I love the color of that strap.
Yeah, it reminds me. I call this my Shawn Michaels Intercontinental title. And then, hey, don't be creaming in your pants, TJ. and then I've got the European Championship and the demolition version of the Tag Team Championships coming. And I then after that I need to take a break because my wallet hurts. And then I'm going to be looking at some of my favorite WCW belts.
Can we get a chalk line going for you, Frank, of don't be creaming in your pants?
Don't be creaming in your pants and eat my ass.
Don't be creaming in your pants.
The one I haven't used in a while is Fist Yourself.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
That I got from American Pie. I got that from American Pie because he's like, Finch, fist yourself. Yeah.
Frank,
suck me.
You've got to get a fist helmet now for Frank. The one the Hulk Hogan one.
The Hulk Hogan fist
helmet. Yeah. My God. Oh my God.
That was
we
beautiful.
have to get a fist helmet.
But I just had an awful idea, and I want to share it with you guys.
I can't wait.
Talking about shirt designs, part of me would pay good money for that Shawn Michaels pose that Frank Bruno did on a T-shirt with a caption underneath it that says "Eat my ass."
That's not happening. As much as I would also pay good money for that, that is not happening.
Actually, I would prefer it if it said "Don't cream in your pants" with that.
That would not. That would be the worst selling shirt on. Please, people would complain on Pro Wrestling.
See, you said that, and then we put your picture on YouTube, and it's the highest watched show by far.
All right, fuck that. That's because Efren was there.
It's not even close. You beat Thunder Rosa by 70 plus views.
I'm scared that 200 people have seen that picture.
It's more than 200 now.
Oh God.
I was one of them. No.
Oh, Amy, I'm sorry.
I've watched it twice.
What?
So we know
it's
216.
Back.
Oh my God.
215 if Randy watched it twice.
Back. I watched it twice because the first time I was just laughing too hard. I actually wasn't paying attention to what people were saying.
It's still my favorite show that we've done so far. No offense to Paulie B or Thunder Rosa, but I mean that
all had to do with Efren. It had nothing to do with the beginning of that show.
Efren is amazing, but I mean,
I don't know.
Enough to be able to look at said photo, I have it, and it's not ever leaving my phone.
Did you notice the analytics on Paulie B's episode that they let's do kind of this kind of consistent. As soon as that Taco Bell arrives, boom, it's just like viewer after viewer after viewer after viewer. Like people like fast forward to that spot, trying to get. I mean, that cheesy gordita got unwrapped. Just the gnat sounds of that.
Yes.
The veins in his head remind me of the street map of Greater Pittsburgh.
That's
Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
It's Ciampa.
Also Ciampa.
Also,
it's so veiny.
I belong to a
Vascular.
Facebook group that they put up raffles regularly for belts. Which, by the way, Antonio just won one.
Yes, I saw that.
He won the late '80s.
That group gets us a lot of us in trouble.
He just won the late '80s NWA US title on the red strap, which I wanted.
I was hoping he was going to pick the US title, and then I was going to offer to buy it from him.
Oh, but by the way, we have a belt update to come to, but I'm a part of that group also, and I was actually a part of that raffle that I bought 6 spots on it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
And you still didn't win.
Oh my God.
I've done 2 raffles, and I've bought 6 spots both times. Actually, no, I had to buy 4 the second time because 2 were already bought. But
I've done a couple too.
I never realized how much I loved the mid '90s WCW US title until recently. I love that belt. It's just
me too.
I don't know why. I don't know. It's just because of when I was watching it, or
do you like the 2 plate or the 5 plate?
Oh, the 5.
Yeah, me too. I'm the 5. The only thing I don't like is I feel like the top of it, where WCW is too big. I feel like it come down a little bit. The 3-plater is like that, but I would go for the 5 plate.
So, as you guys know, one of my favorite belts, and probably to me the most underrated, it doesn't get the love it deserves, and mostly because of the company it was in, is the AWA Inmate belt, the prison belt, whichever.
Yeah,
it's AWA World Championship, and Mike Kolb has one, and I offered to buy it from him, and he said instead of currency, he's going to come to my house now and wax me on Top Guy Theater.
That's so worth it. Are you kidding me?
In exchange for the AWA Inmate belt. So there's a very good chance in the near future there's going to be an episode of Top Guy Theater where Mike Kolb's going to be waxing me, and then I get an AWA belt.
What was the other one though? It was like dye your hair and do something else.
That was Phil.
To put stripes.
Oh, that was Phil. I'm sorry.
I literally will do anything body modification to get that Sports Channel UWF belt. You guys can put hooks in my back. I don't care.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Hey, but can we use that on Top Guy Theater?
That got gross.
Is Carl okay? Oh, he doesn't look good.
Maybe.
Look,
Actually,
if I was designing a shirt, I would have a Kentucky Kingdom, like these Six Flags Kentucky, to try to cross over Louisville, OVW, and like just seeing it, I could see the Kentucky Kingdom is because we have Great America in Gurnee, outside. It's a suburb of Chicago, but we had great Six Flags Great America, but Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom. You went to a show, right? Or did you?
I went to a show, but I did not go to one at Kentucky Kingdom. I hit the high schools and the other places they were at.
Yep, Jeffersonville.
And the actual Dave, it wasn't before they built Davis Arena. They were in like basically down by the dock, kind of thing. So we've been there before.
Down by the river.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Jeffersonville.
Sorry, TJ. You were saying what wouldn't you do? Oh, was it? Wait, what would the wife not let you do? Dye your goatee, or dye the goatee? The beard?
He wanted him to put blonde stripes in his goatee and shave the eyebrows.
I would do that.
Yeah, that's
shaving
what it
your
was.
eyebrows sucks.
That's what it was. He was going
sucks.
to dye my beard blonde and shave my eyebrows off. My wife said she didn't want to look at it, but yet she'll watch me get waxed. See, this. She just wants to see me. She just wants to see me be in pain.
Yeah.
She's like,
I would rather
dyeing your hair blonde and shaving your eyebrows won't hurt. But you know what? I want to watch Mike pull your chest hair out.
Exactly.
I would take a piercing over losing my eyebrows.
It's rude.
Just
this
don't
is a
hang
great
out with
moment.
X-Pac.
We have reached the end of the show. This was actually fun to watch a more current show as to watching. We've covered 84 now to 2000, and then 2019 and 2020. So there's a whole lot in between we haven't watched.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure we'll get there one day. Actually, Michael McClanahan is going to come on the end of the month, and we're going to watch Night of Champions 2011.
Ooh.
Okay.
Fun. I thought that's going to be fun. So I think he was at that one. So that should be a good time. Timmy C is going to be on next week. We're going to watch UWF Beach Brawl for some weird reason. Got a lot,
we like torturing ourselves.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
Timmy C and I live like 20 minutes away from each other.
Do you guys hang out? Are you guys pen
No.
pals?
No, but I did message him and I know where he works and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of neat because I work in Murray and that's where he lives. So that was kind of neat.
Well, that's like Josh Odom. I knew he was from Indiana, and Mike Coboy lives 40 minutes from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out Josh Odom was in Angola, I'm like, that's not that far from me either.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe an hour south. But Sean Jones, Amy Vaughn, I hope this was everything you hoped it would be.
Yes.
Oh, and this was entertaining as hell. I had a blast.
Me too.
We appreciate you guys coming on. Closing thoughts here on Takeover Phoenix. Let's start with Henry, the king of the golden tongue tonight. What do you got for us on this show?
I think my golden tongue finally might have turned bronze. But
it's chemically impossible, but go ahead and continue.
This is the first real NXT product I've ever sampled. Most of my knowledge of wrestling goes from 2010 back and some of the more newer stuff I've seen, but I kind of dig this.
So wait, you have not watched NXT in this era, but you've watched WCW 2000 to death.
Not to death. There are some things in 2000 even I won't touch.
Okay. So we're clear.
But I really enjoyed this show. It flowed well. It reminded me, especially in the women's title match, which of the card I got to see because I jumped in like 25 minutes late. I thought was the best match in the show.
It was.
If I could recommend any one match from this show, it would be Shayna and Bianca.
Shayna Bianca or Ricochet and Gargano, one of those two. But I mean, there's not a bad one on the card.
Mm-mm.
They're all good. Mandic. Oh, go ahead, Henry. Henry's not done yet.
Oh no, yeah, Henry, you go.
It makes me nostalgic for Attitude Era Monday Night Raw, as good as this is. And now, go ahead, Carl.
No.
Well, hold on. But wrestling in the Monday Night Raw, the Monday Night Era was terrible. The stories were amazing. The wrestling was awful.
Yeah, that's very true.
My takeaway is that I actually love Henry's takeaway in the sense that while one might see at times WCW 2000-2001 is the Franzia of the wine category, just drinking out of a brown paper bag, and this might be like the 40, 50, 60-year-old bottle that's like from Calabria.
I think WCW 2000's for
Calabria.
Soupy. But no, what I liked the most about this show is the fact that it spawned and spurred off a totally different discussion than we've ever gone into, from body type to I mean, literally it covered such a vast area, but South by Southwest. It really was interesting to get that a modern show like that, and in somewhat, I mean, really modern. I mean, it's 2019, right? So it's like, it was cool to see the discussions that came out. Credit to having a contest, having a trivia, being interactive, and getting to learn more about our sweet ass community that we have.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Bruno.
I have a quick. I'm not on my phone. I have a quick question for Carl. Going back to that UWF belt, does it have to be the actual ring belt, or would you take a recreation of it?
I think he's
not shaving my eyebrows.
No. I was gonna say I think Efren should come over and wax your chode, and then we'll give it. But
I can't air that on YouTube.
Did anybody have chode on their bingo list?
Is he just gonna hold up the wax with like a patch of hair on it?
On my golden tongue.
I can't air that on YouTube, Frank.
My golden tongue.
You can't air that on YouTube?
No.
All right, would you let Efren wax your area below?
Today on Top Guy Theater, Carl's butthole. Like, you can't do that on YouTube. What's wrong with you?
Why is this top guy?
So you're gonna edit it, but would you let Efren wax your taintal area? Can you say that?
I don't think you can say taintal.
That's worse.
It's gonna be a one-time OnlyFans.
Like
Amanda's butthole.
You're gonna try to like come up with UWF, the Lost Pay-Per-View, Carl's Leather Cheerio.
There you go.
That wasn't a thing. We have to edit all of this out now.
That was a walk-off, but go ahead.
My thoughts of this pay-per-view. This show was every match was good. Every match was compelling, and I watched this show. This is probably, thinking of the shows we watched. I watched a lot of Royal Rumble 2000, but some of the other shows we watched are our shittier shows. This was a really, really, really good show, and I found myself watching it, reacting to it, and anyway, it happened 2 years ago. So, great choice, Sean. Great choice, and I still appreciate the work, and I feel horrible for some of the talent that now is in WWE that was on this show. Honestly,
Brandy Wagner.
I had a lot of fun. I love that we have discussions that are not at all related to what we're watching, because it's so good that we can't add anything that would make it any better. I love NXT takeovers. They are always appointment watching, because the talent on NXT seems to know that they just need to turn it on and turn it up, because this is their moment. This is their big time. And I really want to go back and watch more NXT. This showed me what I've been missing.
Well said. This has always been the steal the show. Not only just with the roster they've had, but also the fact that it always comes on the day before their biggest, the big four, as I was started anyway. And you got a lot of hungry guys, and it's still that way. And NXT is still very good. It's just, I think, with some of the stories and whatnot, like, they just kind of lost their way. They've gone kind of blasé, which I know they can get back to this, so we'll just have to wait and see and hope for the best. Amy Vaughn.
Again, I think this was a great one to watch. I'm so glad Sean was at that one, because like I said, everything that you all have said, it was short, sweet. The matches were great. They really, the athleticism was amazing. The storytelling, even at the very end, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are on the ramp together. So it's leading you into what's going to be happening next. And again, I really like NXT, and that's the kind of wrestling that I like, the good storylines and the progression and that kind of stuff. I don't need bulky, I just need a story and people who, sorry, my dogs have been going crazy all day. And I really, really enjoyed being on here with you all. I really love the Top Guy, Top Gal family, and being able to express and talk about different things is really wonderful. And I love watching y'all's episodes. Y'all are fun. So again, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate, Frank, you offering the invite. I do appreciate that very much. I've had a good time.
You look good in that shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sean, go ahead and close us out here. What do you got for this show? You were here, so what's your closing thoughts?
At this point in my wrestling watching life, I wasn't watching NXT. It was on the network. I just wasn't following weekly. I'm more of a WWE pay-per-view watcher than a regular consumer at this point. This got me into watching NXT. This was my first pay-per-view I had ever gone to. The experience was great. The in-ring was amazing. Just a fun show. And then hanging with you guys here, it's like chilling with my friends, and this is what we do. Talk shit and watch wrestling.
Yep. We're pretty good at both.
But thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for answering our trivia question on the website, topguytheater.com. Next week, UWF Beach Brawl with Timmy from Saved by the Pod. So we will officially have all three Saved by the Pod hosts on here. Oddly enough, in alternating weeks. Efren, 2 weeks later, Paulie, 2 weeks later, Timmy C. I don't know how that worked out. There you go.
Ah, there it is, my man.
I still have my sign up. Actually, I have the white one now upstairs too. I need to put on the other shelf. But in the meantime, thanks to everyone watching this. Thanks for everyone for being here today. And now I have to get dressed to go to work. So until next week, we'll see you next time. UWF Beach Brawl here on Top Guy Theater.